Oh, good lord. Welcome in, chat. I should have made a fucking cup of coffee or something. Jesus. Welcome in, guy. I forgot the fishing game. I forgot the fishing game. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it before Sunstar cuts my head off? Fiash. Yeah, Fiash. Fiash. But welcome in, guys. How was your Tuesday? Did everybody sleep well? I made the mistake of trying, what do you call it? A sleeping aid. One that I've had apparently stored in my drawer for a while. And I pulled it out and it did exactly what I thought it would do. It made me sleepy at night. I went to sleep and then it was very hard to get up and do shit the next day. It took me forever to ooze myself out of bed. I guess cozy afternoon. It's kind of cloudy here. It could be a cozy afternoon. It could be a cozy afternoon. Oh my goodness. The ringleader demands coffee. 265. Jesus. Oh goodness. I slept for about a couple hours. Listen, that's better than nothing, which I'm sure is what Carrie got, right? Carrie was here earlier. Where'd Carrie go? Oh, Carrie only said, and then never again. And then never again. I cast sleep on Marin. It doesn't work. It fizzles. It fizzles due to a debuff I have called insomnia. Oh my god. Oh my god. But I don't know what we're going to do today. I don't think we're going to end up doing more marathoning of Hell of a Boss, because that just doesn't feel right. It feels like something I should maybe do in Discord in silence. You will not guess who just got banned on Twitter. Is it you? It's not Musk. It's not Musk. Did you really get banned on Twitter? How did you get banned on Twitter? Political anxiety and paranoia on Marin? Too bad it doesn't work. I've had that my entire life. I'll go button deploy. Hi, Faye. Also, welcome in, Luffy. Thank you for the follow. I casted banner in on Twitter. It's me. How did you get banned? How the hell did you get banned? Oh my god. Oh my god. What? Yeah, what's up, Luffy? Was that supposed to be a question or was that supposed to be a statement? Is that point? Is that point? You older than 18? This is feeling very child left at home by himself. Really? Interesting. Interesting. My stream broke again. I don't know how it happened this time. What do you mean it broke? Did it do the thing where it like turns black and you have to like click like the reload player button? It says inauthentic account was the what? Did you contact customer service? Like get them to understand that it's your account? Apparently have to do a lot of people, so hopefully it's oh, that is weird. Streak got cut off again. No! Faye's about to do it for us. All she has to do is say it. Say, wait, what? Wait, what? I cast destruction on Twitter/X. Is it your real voice? Yeah, I'm not using a modifier, if that's what you're thinking. Are you asking if I'm using like a voice changer or anything? I mean, I can turn on a voice changer. But like, no, this is how I normally sound. Trust me, if this was the voice changer, it would sound a lot worse. I have the Go XLR and it does have like a gender knob, but it sounds gross. It's basically just like deeper and higher. It just depends on which direction you scroll it, but it sounds terrible. So I literally use it for nothing. 40-year-old bald man. I haven't even passed 30. How dare you? How dare you? Really said, quote, knob. Oh my god. I don't even know the context for me saying that, especially in Blood Hunt.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
What do you mean the same voice everybody's using? Elaborate. You have my interest. You have my attention. Who's everybody? Generic hot lady Boyce? Ah, yes, Boyce. Bumper Bippine. A checks notes gender knob. Oh god, I need that meme again of oh, what was it? The sex slider meme where they're like the guy like reaches up to pull the slider and it like snaps over at his character and he's like, oh, they mean gender. Okay, and then he like slides it back. Jebder. Wait, what? But I don't even weigh 50 pounds? I can't remember the context for that. Adjusting the gender knob. Okay, there was a quote for it. Wow, I didn't know there was. Is that what the radio people were talking about when they kept going on like about ripping the knob off? Isn't that always about volume? Isn't that about turning it up to like 11 and ripping the knob off? I thought that was always what they meant. I could have swore that was always what they meant. No, I'm not from Thailand. I'm an American, unfortunately. Unfortunately. To the regret of my entire being. It happens. It happens. Oh, what the fuck? Hold on. All right. You don't have Luffy, how old are you, dude? Are you older than 18? It's very much giving child left at home. Are you? Are you? Are you from Thailand? Is that what? Because this is giving younger child vibes, which if you're 18, I'm guessing English isn't your first language. Marin go banana. I wish, does anybody have a Mookie's banana emote? I don't know if a Mookie put the banana emote on their stream. Say the word. Listen, it's all you, Faye. It's all you. You can shoot them. You are welcome to. Oh my goodness. You have full permission. I've taken the lock off the firing pin. Then why did you ask if I was from Thailand? Oh, never mind. I don't have to anymore. There you go. There you go. You don't gotta come in and be a little weirdo playing 20 questions with the streamer. And as she's here, I cast follow Faye. Ah, yes. Excellent point. Excellent point. Exclamation mark Faye. Anyway, if you want to check out the mod, aka my wife. If they say this word, can I whack them? You don't even have to say this word. Nah, you're good. You're good. I just like fishing with them. It's always fun. Do you even Roblox? Fuck no, I don't Roblox. Actually, I played Roblox once. Hi, Day. Hope you have a good day at work today. After committing moiter, I must hide. The police are coming for me. The authorities know where I am. Oh, good lord. But, chat, have I mentioned before how much of a cesspool Twitter is? How much of a cesspool Twitter can be and apparently in practice is? Ooh. No, moving on. No, officer, I haven't seen the 9-foot-tall lady. It's like she's behind you, crouching behind a fence, but the top of her head is sticking up over the fence. Mara! How was your stream yesterday, Mara? I was watching you before I left to go to the gym. Okay. Oh, no. What is up with so many VTubers ending up in the fucking hospital recently? What the fuck is happening? Are people not taking care of themselves? Kana's in the hospital because was dehydrated. Probably other reasons too, but that's just what the post was. Rin is safe now, free from the Twitter radiation. True. Reached plat. That's what it was. You were playing Mibble Ribble. Good old Mibble Ribble. I don't think I've played ranked at all this season. I'm almost certain I haven't. Oh my goodness. Second time you couldn't access Twitter. Oh yeah, because Rin is from the country that was removed from Twitter a while back. They touch grass and the grass bite back. That happens on occasion. Mumble Riders. Yeah, Mumble Riders. Oh my god. Chat. You know how on occasion we like to talk about shitty people talking about shitty things on the internet? I wish I could find the fucking post now, but apparently I thought they were talking about Doom. I really wish I could find this post again. Oh, I found it. Never mind. Okay, yeah, it is Doom. Instantly found it. It was right above where I was staring. I used a VPN during that time. Oh, that explains why it didn't seem like you ever left Twitter. Is Doom going woke? I'd hate to tell you, but that is exactly what this brain dead motherfucker says on Twitter. Doom the woke ages. So apparently, I guess they released a trailer for Doom the Dark Ages. So one of the things that apparently they say in it, because he takes a screen grab of the trailer, it's a Doom for all Slayers, and I guess they showed off accessibility settings. So they apparently have a new difficulty setting. It looks like it's called Hurt Me Plenty. And then you can adjust the modifiers for the game. You can change how much damage a player takes, how much damage you deal to demons, how fast projectiles move, enemy aggression, like how angry they are or how fast they come at you. You can increase the parry window, the daze duration, the game speed, and resource values. And this dude is upset. Hurt Me Plenty has always been around. Well, it looks like it's adjustable now. It looks like I don't know if it's always been adjustable or something. Womb the what? I played Eternal on Ultra Nightmare. Does that count? I don't know if that's in terms of the accessibility thing here. But the thing is, I think with this setting too, because in the picture, it shows like a bunch of this stuff is at like 100%. But on the slider, they're all like either slightly to the left from center or like damage to player at 100% is like a quarter from the left, which means that people are probably going to use this difficulty to like do challenge dungeons shit, like make it so you can't parry or make enemy projectiles fucking stupid fast. Like I can already see people doing that. I got a cursed idea. Do you know 2 things that are required to be in Tzimisce to perform vicissitude? No, I don't think so. Requirements. I think it depends on which canon you're talking about. Because in like one of the canons, vicissitude is like a disease. That the only way you can get it is by having vicissitude performed on you. But I don't know about the others. It's just more specific with the settings, yeah. But it also means that you can turn it down. You can make it much easier for anybody that like just wants to get into Doom. In terms of balance, we've increased bolt speed by 3,000%. Good luck. Oh my god. I need to find that video of the guy who like basically made carriages and horses go Mach fucking 20. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that's in my TikTok. Where is it? I don't think it's in favorites. Yeah, I'm certain it's not in favorites. That's food. Damn, I'm glad I had my fucking priorities set before I left TikTok, because all of my likes are just food. Where is this? Is it this gray one? No, video is not. Okay, that's some kind of recipe. Hi, Tommy. All right. Okay, it's definitely not down there. Why can't I find the Lightspeed Red Dead Redemption video? Maybe it is in favorites. Or it's further down than I thought. No, it's definitely not this far down. I can't find it because now I'm just... You can also tell Twitter's busted as shit because all of these videos say they have 0 views on them, which is absolutely wrong. Oh, found it. Found it. All right. Hold on a second. Let me change the audio settings and I can show y'all something absolutely butt-numbingly stupid that I imagine this is what Doom's going to be like if you turn up the projectile speed. Over there. Over there. Over there. Over here. Something or other. Silence music.
To town without getting demolished and... This is bullshit. Oh shit, get inside. Oh,
like I don't even know how you fucking do this, but to my brain it's hilarious. The banana man.
Oh god, stop the wagon. I'm trying.
Oh,
Hey!
it just takes off.
We're trying to make it into town without...
That's all. That's all I think about with high speed projectile fucking Doom. All right. Get this shit out of here. Get fucking TikTok off my screen. They spoke up. It's here. Hi, Banana Man. Oh my goodness. Reminds me of what Gray still plays. Did back in Farmston. He set the cars to Mach 7 and every time he had to cross the road it was That's hilarious. Wait, that's fucking hilarious. Thank you for the 500 bits, Oz. What the fuck? I mean, going fast is awesome. True, gotta go fast. I've increased the mag size by 4,000%. Have fun. Jesus. Jesus. It's just hold down the trigger and it never ends. Now equipped to all carnival houses and carts. Just Mach 7. Just absolutely fucking Mach 7. Just send it. Send it, motherfucker. Did y'all start another hype train? What the fuck? Why'd y'all start a hype train? Why you do this to me? The card moves so fast they blinked in and out of existence. If it blinked in on his location, wait. Can I look that up? I want to look that up. You said this is Farm Sim? Wait, I want to see this. I want to see this before we get into the depravity of humankind and lose faith in humanity thanks to Grums. Okay, let me see. What was that? What was the name? Reminds me of Gray Still Plays Farm Sim. I decided to ruin the game with mods and this happened? What the fuck? Which one is it? Which one's the one with the Mach 7 cars? I grew and harvested $100 bills. Who is this person? Time to break the sound barrier. Yeah, he has a lot of farm sim videos. Excessively large equipment. I grew potatoes 10,000 times their normal size. You go on with your day. Okay. That's fine. But, oh, Jesus. Also, the people being mad over accessibility is so fucking stupid. Play the game on the setting you want to play, and then people getting fucking mad. That's like, some people. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord, I learned about Grums via a video essay about how he and the GG boys are totally normal about Stellar Blade. Yes, they're totally also Sunstar, is that a tier 3? Will there be cake on this hype train? I didn't have time to make cake. Although I think I do have the ingredients to make cake. It would be a very plain cake. Because I can't find my chocolate. Yeah, I had some like Godiva chocolate chips a couple months ago. And the other day I went looking for them because I didn't use all of them. And now I can't find them. So I think somebody ate them. But God, yeah, we're gonna go check out Grums today at some point. What do you mean? Is that a tier 3 Barons for getting the mods? Well, thank you for the tier 3 Sunstar. Why 420p? Why not 1080p? Ask some random schmuck. Oh yeah, well there was somebody. Oh. Do y'all want to make fun of another guy who plays Doom like it's a fucking tactical shooter? So I don't know if anybody knows JTech TV. Really quick, I want y'all to watch this and tell me what you think. He's bragging about the PS5 Pro getting 60 FPS, but I hate to tell him, every version of Doom has gotten 60 FPS on all consoles. So, you know. Oh yeah, it's this clip, Centurion. Watch this. Watch. There's no audio for it. Just watch this man play Doom. Well, there's audio of the monsters, but that's fine. You don't miss much. Look at this dude. This is how this guy plays Doom. This dude's playing it like he's playing fucking, I don't know, a fucking Arcane House game. Like he accidentally engaged in combat in Dishonored. They mocked game journalists for this. FPS in the game that even Nintendo got. Yep. As long as, yeah, I mean, he's having fun, but at the same time, this is a guy that calls himself like a major gamer and stuff. But this guy's playing it like he's going through the story mode in Call of Duty. Timestamps are the same video? Okay. Wouldn't survive Ultra Kill? Yeah, that's... He's crouching and sneaking through the church. Just spin around him. Just shoot through the shield, dude. You have plenty of ammo. And no, I can't improve the quality because it fucking messed up on his end. And because of Twitter compression. Yay. Hey, look. Skeletons. Anyway. All right, get that shit out of here. All right, where's my button? There's my button. All right, hold on. Oh no, we were gonna watch the. We're going back. Because I guess Carrie did send me the thing. Okay, it was the one that I saw with mods. Okay, so I guess this is him trying to cross the road.
Because all the other vehicles go like
my God.
Speed.
Oh my God. Okay. Just in the tree.
I didn't even...
Okay, let me see. Where's the second timestamp? Okay, there's the other one.
I've decided it. I don't know what this is gonna do, but I don't care. I'm
Oh
putting it
no.
here. Now it's totally possible that the game won't even be able to register this level of speed. I'm really not sure. Again, I don't really know what this does, but I'm gonna mess with it just because. Oh my God. You can just barely see the after image of the vehicles.
Is it the same cars over and over because it can't register them?
The looks exactly the same. I don't know if anything will change like when we try to buy it. First things first though, we're gonna go ahead and lift this up and I'm just gonna put this in the in the roadway.
Oh no.
Just to see what happens. You can see some of the vehicles pulsating.
They're
right
like
there.
inside each
Will it
other.
even collide, or are they moving so fast that the collision can't even register? I'm gonna go ahead and put this right like that.
Oh!
It's gone.
Where'd it go?
Oh my God, it's 28,000 kilometers per hour because of how quickly it's flying through the air. It's not even on the board anymore.
Oh my God.
All right, let's go inside of this one.
All right, buckle up, kiddos. I think we're going to orbit with this one.
Now, I imagine we're not going to see what happens. We're just going to get hit and we're going to disintegrate, like, outside of the universe.
That's a fast tractor.
This is kind of weird. I'm kind of surprised that there hasn't been a vehicle that, you know, barely tapped me and sent me flying into the stratosphere. Oh, you can barely see the vehicles.
Is it because they're not, like, staying on the road with their speed?
Yep. It just sends you straight out the map. Straight to hell. Anything that has size attached to it, I'm gonna change just to...
No, we're not going through the rest of this video. We're not going through the rest of this. That's amazing though. That sounds like a lot of fun. I think if I found a game that would be like, has like crazy mod. Oh man, there's Cyberpunk mods. Oh man. Oh man. I remember we modded Cyberpunk in one of the playthroughs and it was very janky. We started having issues where like the longer we played the game, the more like skin textures of like random people would just start disappearing until you would end up with like every character on the map was just this like black silhouette of a person. When Marin's going to start making mods for Cyberpunk, I don't know how to make mods. I don't know how to make mods. Always makes me laugh till I hurt. It's usually the dumb shit that like fucking makes me laugh so goddamn hard. Like I love watching, what is it? Spiffing Brit. I love watching Spiffing Brit when he just like fucks with games. Have you seen what the gut shotgun does to you in third person? Well, you make mods by getting two mods that no caring. No. Two mods that love each other very much. No. Absolutely not. Work relationships are not allowed. I built a farm on a 90-degree angle and this, oh my God. Oh my God. No. No. Also, what the fuck? This reply was hidden by the original post author. I'm looking at the comments of the guy who was like pissed off about the accessibility settings, and so many of them are just hidden. Which is even weirder because the person who made the post is replying to them, which means these are people that like he follows or they follow him, but their accounts are on private. What in the name of Zeus's butthole is wrong with you? God, I fucking love these comments. Worst take on the internet goes to, this idiot doesn't even know what woke means. Y'all are miserable. If anything, this will not make the game hard enough. I've custom built a taser that's strapped to my inner thigh to zap my balls every time I take damage. And when I die, I have to start over the whole game. Old school with -5 points off my credit score. Casual filth. Okay. Okay. Hi, Hectic. What are you up to? What trouble are you getting into on this Tuesday? Tuesday. We're making fun of an idiot. We're going to make fun of a bigger idiot in just a second because we're going to talk about fucking Grums. The worst thing is I can't even show you his page because there's no telling if he's going to retweet like Stellar Blade fan art at any second. New Donathon goal. Wait, what's the Donathon goal? That's because Kono likes bimbos. That is a good quote. And it's true. Kono does like bimbos. With Power Gold, I make the US dollar worthless? Shit. Wait, I forget. Is the US dollar isn't tied to the gold standard, right? I don't think it's tied to the gold standard anymore. Lunch break, also going to need to read more of the Mage book since Yui sent me some character stuff. Oh. Yeah, Yui told me that she's practically done with her character. I finished mine pretty much last night. I need to type in all of like backstory stuff. Okay, good time now. Wait, what? Wait, what? Why drama when Legos are right there? I don't have any Legos. Push-ups. Okay, I'll do the push-ups. Hi, my wife. That's what I was thinking. It's been decades since it was on the gold standard. Even then, the US still hoards gold. So, you know. All right. Just in case, you know. Just in case. But maybe it's because they don't think that the current model is infinitely feasible. I wonder. I wonder indeed. All right, let me do these 10 push-ups. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Marin Go Lego win? Maybe at some point if I get... Sorry, I'm like really far back because the chair is really far back. We have a new scale? What do you mean a new scale? You clearly need to put Legos on your throne? I think I'll do it once I have like a space to do it in. once I have like a table with like an overhead camera and stuff. Because I'd much rather have like a good quality experience for y'all than having to do it in like what very little space I have at my desk. I was originally gonna, what's the word? I was originally gonna like upgrade the RAM in my PC this month with Twitch's paycheck, but then we started working on name change stuff. You know, as you do. I can finally weigh myself again. Oh, that's what you meant by getting a new scale. Okay. Like the camera on throne? Yeah, like the camera on throne. That camera is also probably going to be used in the future for things like vlogs and stuff. Because I do want to do some traveling with Sai and Faye in the future. I can send you the camera I use for Legos. The thing is, I don't have like a table. Well, I think I have a foldable picnic table in the garage. I'm pretty sure. Wait, what the fuck is this? Hold on, I want to read this. This is... Because Grums reposts the most random nonsense. And by random nonsense, of course, I mean things that make him feel right. Okay, apparently Grums got upset by what apparently the, what's his name? I forget his name. Who's the current actor for Captain America, aka the Falcon? Shit, I don't remember his name. I could be entirely wrong too, because this is Grums retweeting a fucking, well, quote tweeting a post by libs of TikTok. So, you know, as you do. As you do. We're inventing in a haunted mansion or investing in a haunted mansion. Yeah, cool Norway places. And then maybe occasionally we can hop on a train and go do some cool stuff in other places. I want to travel. And it's probably going to be far more affordable there than it is here. All the best people congregating together. Listen, it'll become worse when we just become one singularity content blob. You want to go to... Of course I want to go to the cool mall in Sweden. What kind of fucking question is that? Investing into inventing a carnival mansion? Easy, fixed it? Gotcha. I see where you're thinking. Yes, because there is in fact no carnival themed mansion around, so we will have to invent it. That actually sounds kind of fun. Canada! Oh my god, traveling Western Europe sounds great, like driving around the States, but they're actually shit to see. True, there's shit to see sometimes in the States, but it's like few and far between, and it's always weird when you go to like... museums are a weird experience in America in the case that like... You're either learning about really far away places. I was gonna say, I saw Dora got a fucking Iceland flag before, but, oh, what was it? But it's like, I'm trying to I keep brain farting what I was thinking. Oh, you go to a museum in the US and it's like, you're learning about Egypt. Like, fucking the Vikings. All that shit that's like so far away, you just like... You only have like either replicas of artifacts or artifacts that are shipped in like temporarily for an exhibit. Or you're learning general concepts. Like there's a museum here that has an entire biology section and an entire geology section. That's just all the rocks. I actually like the rock section. It's really fun. I like looking at the rocks because they're really big and they're really pretty. Hi, Coco. Hi, Coco, baby. Have to expand the carnival owned land after the tragic events that fell the carnival in 2.0. The 2.0 carnival hasn't even been erected yet. Rocks are cool. Oh, what's another one? Or worse yet, you go to a museum and it's a Native American museum, and then you just feel guilty. And then you're just sitting there looking at it like, We're awful. Why did we do this? Why did we do this? Why are we like this? And 2.0 is on the road? Correct. 2.0 is on the road. Thank you for self-care, Murdoch. But that's pretty much every US museum. Aside from like art museums. Art museums are pretty great. I shared the camera in the Discord. All right, let me see really quick.
Enjoy the show.
Okay. Faye, what did you send me? You've been visited by Radical Ralph. Gnarly speeds ahead, but only if you comment lace me up home slice. Why does he have a unibrow? Why does he have a unibrow? Oh, good Lord. Oh, right. I remember. I think I either saw a post of somebody making that or somebody said that before of using like one of those like desk scanner cameras that like people use at schools. The thing is, I want something a little bigger. I want something that can cover like a good, like a decent sized table. Lace me up, home slice. Art museums less than the internet, true. But I do like seeing like classic paint. Also, Cypress, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. I thought I heard the alert go off. Natural history museums tend to have some cool stuff. Like, yeah, dinosaurs, taxidermy. I love going to museums and seeing like biology stuff. That's my favorite. That's my favorite. Although it is weird sometimes because there's some people that get really weird at museums. Also, hi, Idol. But like, if you've ever been to like a natural history museum in Texas, it gets really weird. You'll go in there and you'll be looking at the dinosaurs or something, and some kid or some weird mom in a full-length skirt is gonna say some shit about how like their lies, or like, I can't believe they tricked people or some shit, and I just got to sit there quietly and be like, oh God, here we go. Oh God, here we go. The Bow Museum is back. Let's go. The Mutter Museum. I don't think so. What's the Mutter Museum? Mutter Museum. Oh, the Mutter Museum at the college. It cuts off, and I can't tell. Mutter Museum, Wikipedia. Medical history and... Oh my God, this place looks awesome. Mutter Museum home. Where is this? Where's the... Look. Oh, Philadelphia. Okay. Oh, that's sick. That's really... Is that an iron lung? Wow. It's a very classic building. It's a very American classic building. That's crazy. I resurrect all the dinosaurs back to life. Ordain, you cannot do that. You don't understand how many dinosaurs there were. They lasted millions of years, Ordain. Millions. We don't have that problem in New York, thankfully. Wait, which problem? Oh, the thing that I was talking about. Yeah. Like giant skeletons, bone disorders, books bound in human flesh. Wait, I think I have heard of this museum before. It's time for humanity to learn a lesson. It's time for humanity to remember that they're not at the top of the food chain. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't think you understand how many different species of dinosaurs there were spread out from millennia. If I remember correctly, I'm trying to think. I think it was something like technically Triceratops and Tyrannosaurus rexes were like 18 million years apart from each other. I think. I could be misremembering. There are 3 of such books in the Harvard Library. Yeah. I know that technically, I think it's illegal to own books bound in human flesh. So usually people like, once they find out, they usually donate them to museums. But I'm a different kind of bitch. I'm keeping that shit on a shelf. On a display, little like, what are those wooden display things that faces it forward? It's in the US though. That's in the US. Faye, let me know if you find a book bound in flesh. I'll spend a pretty penny on it. with me when I pass? You probably have. I just don't remember exactly what it is. Do you want to be turned into Necropants? I'd be fine with being turned into Necropants. That'd be neat. Turning Faye into a purse. All right, hold on. While I'm waiting on Faye's response, I'm going to scroll a little bit. Not watching Captain America anymore. Oh, please, Grums, as if you aren't going to come watch it at home as soon as it's fucking on digital. Oh, that's fucking cool. That'd be cool, Celador. Aww. At one point, I knew someone who would do it. I donated condition that I get an unrestricted pass to the museum. True. That would be my condition too. You were right. That is a good condition. Time to mess with the SCP Foundation again. Ordain, no! I fucking love that little running emote. That little jittery running emotes. I think it's funny just to picture Ordain as just like a little fox creature. All right, hold on. I want to see what the fuck he's going on about. Oh, okay, no, this is just Grum still complaining about DEI. Damn. Okay. Wait, what? Wait, what the fuck is it? You don't get to call fans of something racist and fascist, then say bugs, demons, and monsters represent minority groups? What? Who the fuck? What? Are they talking about... Oh, wait, I think this person is talking about the new edition of D&D. But I think they're comparing, like, I think demons is referring to the tieflings and monsters is referring to the orcs, which is just kind of tattling on yourself. Well, no, he like reposted this. I'm just trying to figure out what this person's on about, because they're talking about Wizard of the Coast apparently, and I don't think they're talking about magic. And I do know in the newest D&D edition, orcs are basically Mexican, which I think is hilarious, and I have yet to meet a Mexican person who is upset about that. I'm gonna say, do I need to find the? Let me see, D&D. What's it called? New edition orcs. I need to find the art because it's so fucking cute. Can I make this a little bigger? Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like, look, this is how orcs are portrayed in the new edition. That's fucking cool. Look at the old ones. Come on. How can you be mad at this? But like, I guess, I don't know what bugs is referring to. Or gunslingers? Guns? Well, it looks like there's only bows in this picture, but I can see it. I could see gunslingers if you had a campaign doing that. But it's so cute. I remember when this art first came out and people were like just reacting to it when it was new on like TikTok and Twitter and stuff. And I didn't meet a single person that wasn't a fucking chud that didn't love this depiction. Look like a two-way road sign? I can see that. It does kind of look like two arrows. Orc artificers rise up. Listen, I love playing orcs. I play like orcs and goblins all the time. But like, here, this is the fucking dude. Guys. Fuck are you on about? I would love to play a goblin in Pathfinder once. Do you like chili cheesesteak flavored chips? I probably would. I've never had them. Ignore the fur. Ignore the fur. Time to make Zorork the dashing masked swashbuckler vigilante. Wait, that's amazing. That's amazing. Zorork. I like that, but this is fucking stupid. Of course, I mean, it feels like these guys are still like, what's the word? They're picturing it as, oh, what's the edition? Is it D&D 2nd edition where like orcs and tieflings were like still all monsters and like they still had what was it? Fixed what do you call it? Alignments? I think that's what it was. Neckbeard Grognard. Which is even dumber. The thing is, I don't think they are because like most of the sides and stuff here are talking about like Mexican orcs, D&D, Tolkien, Elder Scrolls, but it's also Grums said Wizards of the Coast. It's 3 hours ago. It's 3 hours ago. Tieflings were a player race in 2nd edition AD&D Planescape. Yeah. But I don't know. I think as long as I've played D&D, I have never considered, quote, I guess they've been called the monstrous races for like a long time because they usually come out in a book that's like, oh, what was the book that came out in 5th edition? I don't remember what it was. Because they also got republished in 5th edition with I don't remember books because I haven't played D&D in so long. Hold on a second. Where's the books? Where's the books? Where's the books? Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. No. Basic Rules. No. Eberron, I think, was when they like redid some of the monster races. So there's like a couple different kind of orcs. Let me see if I can. I don't think it's going to show it. Species. Okay. Okay, no, it will, as long as they don't click them. So, like, those are free rules. Humans, halfling, elf, dwarf, duh. Player handbook. Here's a bunch of the extras. Gnome, Asimar, Dragonborn. These are all actually new arts. Ah, that's because it's a 2024 one. Okay. Okay, because there's the orc from that art piece. But, so I guess maybe... Oh, here it is. Monsters of the Multiverse. That's the book I was looking for. Hi, Biggles. Yeah, Monsters of the Multiverse was the book that had, well, all of these. All of them. All the Genasi, the Glyph. I love this goblin art too, by the way. I love this goblin art. Yes. Wait, I think they... Yeah, this is another orc art I remember. This is from the other one. I think they solidified all of the extra races into Mordenkainen's because a lot of these were not in here. They were not, all of these were not originally in the same book. I think they're just in the same book purchase on the website. Eberron was non-standard. Drow were not like previous Drow. Yeah, that's also the case because like this art, if I click it, I don't think it's actually going to show me like the full art. We'll see though. We'll see really quick. Yeah, it just takes me here. So if I remember correctly, this is from the other Eberron one where orcs are like more shamanistic. Like much more, not like warlike tribal like they are in early D&D, but like much more like calm, druidic kind of orcs. But yeah, there's Spelljammer. Spelljammer was like just after I kind of stopped playing. Strixhaven, I forgot they actually made the Alana race from Magic the Gathering in here. Lineages, that's like the custom thing. Of course, here's Theros with the Leonin and the Satyrs. There's Eberron, which, again, like those other orcs and stuff were supposed to be in here. This is where they like rehashed both the shifters and the changelings. Because they came out like two different ways. Acquisitions Incorporated, I think, is like a third-party thing that they got added on here. Ravnica races, which, again, Centaur shows up here. So does Minotaur. Feral Tiefling. I forgot this was a thing for the longest time. Because I don't think I've ever played with anybody that's played a feral tiefling over a regular tiefling. Tortle. Never played with anybody that played a Lokatha or a Grung. And then here's the original one, Voldo's Guide to Monsters. This was the original Monsters book that came out at the beginning of 5e. Yeah, this is the one that I remember being just spread out through here. Like, here's the original ASMR. In physical form? Ah. Had better stats for my build? That makes sense. Then here's the original Genasi Aarakocra, the evil player's companion for the Goliath, too. And then here's the original book for 5e. I don't know what Eventide is. That's new, too. Quick Step. What is that? Natural affinity for speed. Huh. Interesting. I didn't know about these races. Shade. Oh, you could be a ghost? Okay, I didn't know that. I had not seen these, nor have I seen Umbral Human. Interesting. Very interesting. The Disembodied? Weshel kinds? Puppets. That's kind of cool. Dang, I hadn't seen any of these races. Humblewood. Are these races from the Magic the Gathering set where they were like all animals? They're Planescape books? That makes sense. Here's Lord of the Rings. Wait, what? Lord of the Rings role-playing? Just converted to D&D rules, I guess? Grimhald's third-party setting? That's what I thought. Griffin's Saddlebag. Griffin's Saddlebag. Why does that sound familiar? Book two. Is that a Critical Role book? I don't know. We're getting sidetracked again. Thanks, Crumbs. Good art, though. Good art, though. But yeah, I'm not going to show y'all that while we scroll that, just in case, because you never know when he's going to retweet like Stellar Blade butts or something. Same with Humblewood. I figured. Yeah, they did a lot of third party stuff. Usually the ones that are only like 1 or 2 races are third party. What the fuck? Oh, what game is this? Kami? Oh, he just stole the video from somebody else. Okay. And then credited them as if they were in the video. You can cut bamboo in my game? Okay. Like, what is Project Tonin? I swear I've heard of that game somewhere. Rin, do you want head pats? Rin, is that what this is about? Do you want head pats? I'm also going to go ahead and start setting up words on stream for y'all because we have less than a minute till the ad break. Grumps just makes these sarcastic posts. Like somebody's like showing off like a special feature of their game and he's just like, where's the gushing game journalist? We got bamboo cutting here. Okay. This company is still developing their game. Sir. Not every game is going to shit out a Stellar Blade for you to have a butt to look at. Also, hi, Malik. All right, what is this? Okay. People think the female sumo in Assassin's Creed Shadows is a joke, but it's real. Okay. Hold on a second. History. Common until the Edo period, where this game takes place. It wouldn't become common until the Edo period, where this game takes place. Amazing, Grums. Amazing. Fucking jackasses. Not even being like, hey, there's a sumo woman in this game. That's really cool. Or instead of being that's really cool, they're just like, that doesn't make any sense. All sumo wrestlers are men. How about you Google it? I need that gif of like John Oliver screaming, Google it. Hold on, where is it? John Oliver.
I give up.
I need this. Hold on, chat. I need y'all to be on the same level as me for this one.
I give up. It's not a question. I know the fucking answer to. Google it. Google it. Google it.
I'm sorry. That's what you get for the commercial break. No, but I will give y'all words on stream and we will be back in a couple minutes. I'm gonna go find something to nibble on since I didn't eat before stream. Okay, I'll do the push-ups. Jesus. Okie dokie. All right. Oh God, I have to look at Grums again. Oh! Welcome back from the ad break, guys. I should probably replay this just so that y'all get the point. Because I think the ad's already started.
I give up. It's not a question.
They blink out the question. They blink out the question.
Google it. Google it. Google it.
That in a game set in World War I, the German soldiers have a bolt-action gun is historically inaccurate. That's pretty much what it is. That's what it is. But this motherfucker, look at her. She looks awesome. I don't care what anybody says. She does look awesome. And it looks like she's actually, like, maybe part of the team or something. I guess. When joining the fight. Interesting. I like it. I vote we make Grums start taking Ozempic. That man's bones couldn't get any thinner at all. He's taking a sabbatical from Helldivers 2 after working around the clock for 11 years. We'll move on to the next Arrowhead game when he returns. Okay. He's stepping away from Helldivers 2. Oh my God, it's almost like that's exactly what he just said. Grums, what the fuck are you doing? Journalistic integrity here, folks. Journalistic integrity here, folks. Oh, yep, music. I'm sorry. I turn it up because like I don't want to just leave it super quiet for y'all. Google it. Hourglass figure. I can't goon to this. Yeah, pretty much. She looks badass though. I like her. Look at this. Look at the fucking kick. I can't tell, but I think she's kicking him through a door or a wall or something. It looks like a broken wall. It's definitely at least a broken wall. But I dig it. I dig it. Oh no. Oh no. What?
Enjoy the show.
What? From north to south, that's just basic physics. No, don't you know? No. No. Okay, but also the days of putting a fake environmental argument over the people are over. I don't think this is true. I don't think anything's changed. Because when there's no water, there's no water. What do you want about Rivet? That's not how any of that works. That's not how any of it works. Whose water is he taking? If any water at all. Also, hi, Laura. Whose water is he taking? Like, with flowing abundantly from the Pacific Northwest and beyond? What? The only, like, did this man just think he just, like, he sent the soldiers and they turned, like, a massive, like, cartoon faucet? I thought it was following on the clown. You were totally fine, Laura. Shit happens. Shit happens. We're going over bad takes, and there's nobody with worse takes than Grums, aka Mark Kern, ex-Blizzard dev and ex-CEO of Red 5 Studio that he himself tanked into the ground all on his own. I'm not salty. I'm totally salty. I miss Firefall. I miss what this game was going to be. I miss it so much. Flying, gliding. This was like 2012? 2014? It had such goofy looking characters though. It did have such goofy Firefall, yeah. Grums was the CEO of Red 5 Studios when they were making Firefall. It was a sci-fi shooter game. And you were technically supposed to be like being able to explore like the whole planet. Again, your whole point was like try and clean up the planet and push back a supernatural storm that had engulfed the entire planet. But it never happened. It never made it out of beta. And even then, when it went from beginning of beta to end of beta, there was literally less content in the game at the end of beta than there was the beginning. Because Grums kept coming back from long breaks and fucking telling people they were doing shit wrong. So then they would have to remove it from the game and they would never have enough time to add shit back. Much like the chief dev. Hold on. There's Mark Kern. Yeah. Laura, would you like to learn about the Firefall bus fiasco? California denies the water claims? Oh, for sure. Mark Kern, aka the CEO of Firefall, decided a way to promote publicity for his game. Mind you, we can go all the way back. Red 5 Studio was a proxy company of a larger Chinese conglomerate who was trying to get their foot into the Western video game sphere. So they made Red 5 Studio, made Mark Kern the CEO, and then bankrolled the entire company for him, and he still flubbed it. So one of the things he tried to do was he went on, you can actually see right here in the back, that is West Coast Customs, which is Pimp My Ride, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that's Pimp My Ride. To retrofit a tour bus to be essentially a mobile tournament thing that they could take to conventions and everything. He spent $3 million on this bus before the game was out of alpha. Before it was out of alpha. Pimp My Ride, the scams. Yes, there was a whole other debacle with Pimp My Ride. Like, this looks fucking terrible. $3 million. It gets worse. It gets worse, Laura. When they tried to take the bus, so like you can actually kind of see here how it has like these light up sections. It's kind of a crummy picture. It's really low res for some reason. But you can see how like Firefall lights up and there's like red lights and decals and stuff. These foam panels were so large and heavy that when it tried to leave the lot of West Coast Customs, it got off the ramp, you know, where they dip the curb down. It hits that and foam panels started falling off. They literally couldn't take the bus anywhere without it falling apart. Two miles per hour because it's so heavy. Yep. Even then, they couldn't take it anywhere. It made no appearances except outside Red 5 Studios. This was its one appearance after it was done. And to this day, people speculate that it's probably just shoved in a, here's the fucking bus. That's a bus from like the 80s, my guy. That's not even a modern tour bus. They didn't even get a new tour bus to retrofit. They got probably a used one. Oh, it's so fucking stupid. And this is the guy that so many chud gamers take their fucking opinions from. Grums, aka Mark Kern, CEO and designer, former team lead for OG World of Warcraft, producer for Diablo 2 and StarCraft. EM Aider lead, Firefall creator, Chrono Trigger is best game. Firefall creator, my ass. There was notorious interviews with the actual developers of Firefall that Mark Kern would show up, absolutely rant and berate them about what he wanted in the game, and then leave for months. And then come back, tell them what they did was wrong, and make them redo the whole thing. Which is why the beta ended up with like more content at the beginning and less content at the end, was because he would come back in the middle of like the beta testing and stuff and would just yell at them and tell them things were wrong, and they would have to take it out and work on it again, and just didn't have enough time before bankruptcy to do anything about it. But yeah, we hate Mark Kern in this house. It's even worse because, again, if you see, this guy has 230,000 followers, and all he does is fucking post chud shit. Wait, that's hilarious. Wait, that's hilarious. I like that. This does not belong in Call of Duty. I'd hate to tell you, sir. Oh my god. I cast Spell of Penis Inconvenience? That's hilarious. It's stuck to your leg permanently! You put a holy water in a humidifier. Does it make the room a gas chamber for vampires? That's... Carrie, why are you asking those questions? Gotta work on something so I have fun talking. Have a good time, Laura. Thank you for swinging in. Thank you for swinging in. Our... should send a clear message. No DEI in military, no DEI in Call of Duty. How do you DEI the military? When Grums says DEI, he means he only wants to see straight white men. Fellas, is it gay to be Grums? I mean, all you want to do is lay your eyes on straight white men. I cast laser on his dick. Is this like space laser, or is this like cat laser with a bunch of cats in the room? I cast to rate this man. What? 2. I give him a 2. And that's only because a 1 would be a corpse. Would the same concept work if you put milk in a humidifier for lactose? No, it wouldn't. And everything would be so fucking sticky, dude. The straightest, whitest, alphast, manly men. Okay. It's time to boycott Call of Duty until they remove DEI from Activision and their president repeals the toxic program. You can't have employees wishing death to MAGA and a president doubling down on DEI. Americans deserve better games and game companies? Nah. Nah, I can't believe I'm on Activision's side. Nah. Nah, bud, fuck you. You're getting your trans bullets. Hold on, I'm giving this to Sai. I'm sending this to Sai. Where's those gay bitches? Where's those gay vampire bitches? There they are. There you go. There you go. I didn't know you could I didn't know there was a thing in Call of Duty where you could actually like color your bullets. Is that a thing or is this a mod? Does anybody know? I feel like out of all the people in the community, there has to be somebody who knows for the newest Call of Duty if you can customize your bullets like that. It's time to choose Marvel Rivals or the DEI ESG game studio that supports Kill Your Local MAGA. Who's gonna tell Grums that? Let me see here. Out of all the characters, Star-Lord is bisexual. Magneto is gay. I'm pretty sure Scarlet Witch is bisexual. Spider-Man, I think, is straight. Eddie Brock is bisexual. Storm, I think, is straight. I don't know all the relationships Storm has had in all of the comics. I know at one point she was married to T'Challa. Yeah, Magneto was gay. You didn't know Magneto was gay? Magneto is a gay Jewish man. Magneto is a gay Jewish man who lived through the Holocaust. Yeah. We don't know. I don't think we know too much about Penny. Let's actually hold on real quick. Let's do Marvel Rivals. Okay, Hero Index. That's totally fine. It opens straight to fucking. Where's the? Wait, I want like the full Hero Hot List. Oh, that's cool. They do have their own stats page. Can I? More heroes. There it is. Okay. Adam Warlock. I don't know any about his relationship thing in the comics. Straight. Bisexual. Straight. I don't know about either of these characters' relationship, but I don't think these two are romantically involved. If I remember right, it's more like necessity, situationship. To be as mad as he is. Oh, correct. Absolutely. Straight. Groot is Groot. Hawkeye is straight, and I think every depiction he's married most of the time. Hela. I think Hela's gay, but I don't remember that for sure. What magnetization is the North Pole? What the fuck does that mean? Here, we'll just do, most of these are straight, like, obviously, but we can do quick ones that I know for sure. Tony's bisexual. Jeff doesn't matter. Magic, gay. Luna, not unknown. Loki, everything he does is gay, so, you know. And Loki's not just a man. There's like a whole comic where Loki is a woman on purpose. It's Loki. Yeah, Loki is Loki. Of course, Magneto's gay. Mr. Fantastic, obviously straight. He's married. Moon Knight. Okay, some people would know Moon Knight better than I do, but I'm pretty sure Moon Knight is pan. Ginger Fluid Mess, correct. Namor's straight. Penny, no idea. Psylocke, pretty sure she was gay in the comics. Spider-Man. I haven't read too many Squirrel Girl comics, so I don't know about Squirrel Girl. I don't think she ever has any like romantic arcs or anything. And then Wolverine's bisexual. And Star-Lord is bisexual. I think that's everybody. At least the ones that are here. Loki birthday the world serpent, didn't he? Yes, he did. He's Invisible Woman, love me, please. Oh God, yeah, that's basically what I was basing it off of. Don't know about Psylocke. Betsy Psylocke, I'm pretty sure is bi. Betsy Psylocke. Only Moon Knight relationship I know of is him and Tigra. Interesting. But yeah, I don't know, that may be... Is that a bigger roster than Overwatch? Real quick. Confirmed. I think we know Roadhog's gay. I don't remember for sure. Zarya, I think it's confirmed lesbian too. So is Tracer. So that's 3. I'm pretty sure Pharah is just speculation. Widowmaker's just speculation. Soldier's gay. We know that, yeah. I think Reaper's gay too, but that's headcanon. That's headcanon. I don't know about anybody else. I think those are all the ones. Well, Lifeweaver is, I'm pretty sure, gay. I'm pretty sure Blizzard said that when he launched. How many of the Overwatch stuff was just because Blizzard wanted to heat off their corporate ass? That's a good question, but there's no telling. Even then though, I still think, I think Grumps has missed the point on this. I'm just being like, it's DEI. I hate to tell you, Storm's black. Black Panther's black, obviously. Have a good day, Sushi. Thank you for hanging out. They're gay, not game. Yeah. But like, bisexuals galore in Marvel. But like, I don't think he actually cares. I don't think he actually cares. Okay, yeah, the Blizzard dev said, kill your local manga. Okay. Okay. Oh, I think this is where I saw last time I opened his thing. Ubisoft then, get used to not owning your games. Ubisoft now, get used to not having jobs. What? The arrogance and destruction of quadruple A gaming, DEI, and not listening to what gamers want. Okay. But as a conglomerate, gamers never know what they want. Like, until you give them an idea, they don't know what they want out of a game. Like, gamers off the top of their head probably weren't all like, man, I would absolutely love a Star Wars game that doesn't take place from the point of view of a Jedi. And I mean, I kind of did. I wanted one of those mainly because I played SWTOR and stuff, and that makes sense. But like, as like the conglomerate force of, quote, gamers, I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Skull and Bones was a mess that Ubisoft wanted to give up on less than halfway into its development, but the Singapore government came in and was like, no, we invested in this game. You are making this game. You are releasing this game. Mutants have always been a metaphor for really kind of any marginalized society. That's always been the case. That has always been the case. Okay, yeah, this is him still talking about the studio that did. But Star Wars Outlaws, Skull and Bones. Okay. But Skull and Bones was made in Singapore, not in the... Maybe some of the people there worked in the Leamington office, because more specifically, I know Skull and Bones was released by Ubisoft Singapore. Star Wars stuff from non-Jedi perspectives. Well, that's the thing, is like, this game doesn't start with, say, like, the Mandalorians in that case. Like, people could say they want Mandalorian games and stuff, but when they offer up a... What's the word? When they offer up a smuggler-esque or, like, scoundrel-esque character in the case of Outlaw, they don't know what they want until they see this, until they're pitched an idea already. And then that's when they fucking start like complaining and wanting things. Core Marvel characters made by liberal Jewish veterans. Correct. Star Wars Outlaws, it seems fine and fun. I think it was it's definitely stupidly overpriced. I say that as somebody that was given a key. That game thus far is not worth $70, and we're only 2 hours into it. We're going to be playing a little bit more this week. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to finish it or anything, because the like memory leak problem, it does kind of piss me off in ways where like the graphics quality drops, the frame rate drops, and everything just starts tanking and I have to restart the game. Oh yeah, I don't think any game is technically worth like the $70. I think the only game in the future that I will probably dump money into is Bloodlines 2. I am sorry. I am buying every single version of Bloodlines 2 because I want it. Can't believe Marion's memory is leaking. Who are you people? Where am I? What are we doing? Wait. DeepSeek model is... What? At the end of the day, you can't run it locally on an offline laptop, meaning you have a language model that has zero censorship, zero guard... Wait, what? AI? What? So important. I think it's really hard for these AI companies to deny it to you. AI is going to be cheap and free. Anything that is real AGI. I think that's supposed to be AI. I don't think he meant to put the G in there. Is going to escape and do whatever it wants within its own super intelligence. Okay. What in the chat GPT is this? I think DeepSeek is was an actual attempt at an AI and it already broke its way out there. Yeah. AI nonsense, but open source and better. It tanked tech stock last night. That's hilarious. And America's big mad. Good. But it's like running AI locally. I don't think these guys understand the necessary power to have like even our current janky AI, let alone what eventually real AI will become. What are these posts? Okay. Oh, okay. This is people talking about the fucking, gonna say this is, I think it's cut from the trailer of Assassin's Creed. Clipping weapons and shit is nothing new. That is nothing new. That's just Ubisoft shit. Oh, okay. I mean, imagine though, like I'm all for wiped 6 billion from the Nvidia alone. That's hilarious. Also got an artificial sun to run for 18 minutes. So that's actually kind of cool. That's actually really cool. Yeah, I'm always like, I'm all for Yar Hard Pirate's Life for me. For reasons. But the one thing that I'd always be concerned about, especially when it comes to Ubisoft, because I'm pretty sure Ubisoft has done this before, is the issue of, I forget what they're called, basically like exclusivity programs, things that when you pirate a game, the game will do something back to you, to like get back at you. I think, was it Skyrim or maybe it was Oblivion? I think it was one of those Bethesda games that if you pirated the game, it would DRM. Yes, I think it's DRM. I think you're right, Plagued Cat. Thank you. Where they like an annoying kid would basically follow you around the entire game. But eventually, I think game developers are going to stretch their rights so fucking hard, and probably get it in terms of like copyright and shit, that their DRM is just going to be bricking people's consoles. It'd be like if you tried to pirate a game of like the next Halo. We'll just say the next Halo. You pirate the next game of Halo and you load it up and it bricks your PC. Like your PC is now dead. Did that amazingly. If you pirated it, the studio would get pirated into oblivion. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. This is why Spore was the most pirated game of all time. What was the Spore reason? I don't know what Spore's DRM was. Delete System 32. Ordain, stop trying to break people's computers. Oh, what the fuck is this? Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. I've heard about that. And it was just a random name, too. It wasn't the fact that, like, Donald Trump's son was already named that. Christ. Watermelons and cherry blossoms? Is that the wrong seasons? Is that what they're pointing at? Are they saying that it's... Okay. Is there something I don't know? I mean, maybe watermelon wasn't like there in that era, but like, also, wait a second. Didn't somebody fucking, hold on. I just realized the person that I saw earlier was asking fucking Grok if watermelons existed in Japan. Hold on. Earliest watermelon harvest occurred in Egypt in about 5,000 years ago. And then it was domesticated in northern Africa in about 2000 BC, cultivated in India in the 7th century, reached China in the 10th century, and reached all throughout Europe in the 13th. So watermelons were in China in the 10th century. Who's to say it wasn't also in Japan? I don't know if it worked that way. I don't think it worked that way. I think it spread through China because that's another 300 years before it spread through Europe. Although, actually, that would make sense. You may be right. You may be right. That would make sense because Yosuke, the one in the game, did he come in? Was it on Portuguese or was it on Spanish ships? I don't remember. Hold on. One interesting thing I've noticed, the pronouns are disappearing from profiles. Their politics are the same, but they deleted them. Have you seen this? What? Okay. TEI is going away, just underground. Jesus. Meatless, thank you for doing your season pass. Welcome in. Welcome in. Forfeited agreeing to accept unrestricted repatriation flights from the US. Okay. That's one country. Are you gonna send all of the like Hispanic deportations to Colombia? I feel like that's what's about to happen, where they just start dropping people off in whatever country unconditionally like lets them land a flight there. Portuguese makes more sense. Yeah, I think it was the Portuguese. But okay, I think I'm growing tired of this because it's usually the same shit of him supporting AI and then like bagging on whatever games he deems DEI. Nope. I saw that. Nope. Eat shit, Revs. Critical turning point. It looks like the tide is turning fast. Oh my god. Oh wait, is this the same person who liked Concord? Oh god, it is. Oh god, it is. Okay. The Veilguard supercut got taken down for hate speech. Insane when the compilation is just a bunch of people having fun dunking on the video game. I don't believe that for a goddamn second. Because I feel like this person playing Veilguard and quote dunking on the game with his friends probably ended up saying some pretty raunchy shit. Almost certainly started saying some pretty raunchy shit. For this guy than I do. I'm sorry, Queens. But yeah, see, it's like, it's all shadows. It's vaguely sucking Donald Trump's dick. What did Ubisoft do to her? What do you mean? She has no eyebrows. That's fine. I see no issue here. Are you forgetting that there was different styles? Grums? Grums, do we need to talk about non-Western ideas of beauty again? How many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man? But how are you doing, Meatless? I'm sorry I didn't say hi. I'm tired, boss. Okay, we're all tired. We're all tired. We'll stop. It's gone. It's gone. Chat, do we want to do food stuff today? Do we want to do food stuff? Don't look at the Transformers thing. I've been watching a lot of Pointless Hub because it's nice to listen to. Oh yeah, they were extremely popular. It looked like she also had like makeup, like those big circular like makeup, like on kind of more on her forehead. It looked like it was way up there. Okay. I want to see what Dancing Bacon has really quick. Or see if they have any of the things that we haven't seen yet. Individual ramen booth. Wait, Disneyland. They did Disneyland food. Oh God, I don't think we want to look over, what is it? Disney World's current event. What is it? The Food and Wine Festival? Because I've seen some pictures here and there, and it's all moose. It's moose all the way down. Earth Scrapers, a tech bros plan to monetize sunlight. Oh, I hate that. I hate that so bad. What is Dylan making today? Dylan. Wine? Drunk at Disney? Yeah, you'd be surprised. If you go to Epcot, oh yeah, you're getting wasted. You're getting show wasted. Do we want to do that? Do we want to do amusement park foods? I like Facebook. Oh shit, the Transinators. Good Lord. All right.
Connected.
Okay. Connected. Yeah, I forgot y'all could hear my fucking Discord sound. Listen, I heard TeamSpeak was coming back, so I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna fuck with people. I'm gonna take the old TeamSpeak. Goodness, connected sound. But chat, is it bad? I also kind of want to watch some bread videos. This Japanese mockumentary is off the rails. Oh no, we're not watching that today. But maybe later. Maybe later this week. Connected. Bread. Hold on. I think it was called Sauced Pancake Recipe. That's not it. That's not it. I guess I need to find the Chinese name for it. Faye, do you remember that bread that we keep finding? That like long flat bread that's like covered in sauce that they cut into a bunch of little pieces? When I translate it, it's translated as sauced pancake, but that's not what comes up when I try to search it. Let me see. Chinese flat bread. No. Those are the things that they like fold scallions and stuff into. I'm looking for... Damn it. I can't find anything. Why can't I find it anywhere? Sauced flatbread? No, that's something else. That's soy flatbread. Interesting. Damn it. Oh, wait, I found a picture. Zhangjiang Bing. I wonder if that's it. If I search that, will I find it? I found it. Okay. Oh, these aren't recipes. These are just shops. Damn it. Crispy. Wait, they made it out of pizza? I'm gonna get in so much trouble. Chat. This is... People also watch. Oh no. What the fuck is that? What is that? What they did to him? What the fuck? There's only like a few videos and then it's that. It's just make a calzone. No, but look at this bread. It's not the same as the calzone. Look at it. It looks so delicious. I like that, Ed. I like that emote. But like, it looks like it's mostly shorts. Because it's mostly, I think, a street food. So it only comes across really quick, and I don't often see people make it. I did find a video yesterday of somebody making it at home. But they make it in much smaller quantities. But let me see real quick. Let's do really quick. Disney World's, what is it? Wine and food? We'll just put food right now. Let's see if I can find, no, those are best things to eat. I want the newest shit. That's Disney Springs. That's California Adventure. I don't want that. Food and Wine 2024. We ate everything at Epcot's Food and Wine Festival. Oh no. Okay. Okay.
We are back with every.
Did that sound kind of like Faye? That was really loud too, though. It's also, if you want to join Faye, they ate a bunch of moose. Yeah, do you want to come make fun of the moose? I was like, I was thinking of you, and I was like, wait, did I just hear Faye's voice? And then I paused and was like, wait a second. Wait a second.
And we are back.
Oh, God, wait. Yeah, that's uncanny. I don't like that.
And we ate every kind of moose you could possibly think of.
Of every color.
Of every color, size, and shape here at Disney Parks Food and Wine Festival.
Don't believe me. No, not moose as in moose and monk. A moose as in like dessert.
As in like dessert.
We are back with everything you need to know.
I hate it.
Marmar, I can't hear the video.
It's so. Oh, sorry. That's right.
Marmar, please.
Marmar, no.
Marmar. Marmalade.
Okay, hold on. Let's do that one more time. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
We are back with everything you need to know about the biggest Epcot festival of the year.
We are
This
back
year
with
is even
everything.
bigger
That's
and
weird. I don't like it. I do not like that at all.
Jesus. I can't believe we both fucking snagged onto that so fast.
Because you ever just hear yourself? It's weird. It's strange.
Well,
now
I don't listen to myself because to me, I sound fucking awful. But to everyone else, apparently I sound like sweet butter sliding into their ears.
You do.
Hey,
I wish I
chat.
sounded like that.
I live in your head now. You can't run. I couldn't tell when Faye started talking.
No. I now have to change my entire voice. Izzy's going to have to give me voice training lessons.
I now have to
so
rework who I am at my core.
Yes, no. Teach me how to fuck with my larynx so I can. No, this is no.
Oh, God. All
The
right.
Epcot Food and Wine Festival. Let's go.
Oh, God.
It's so.
You were
is
still
that what
talking when I
s-
hit play and it just slipped right in. I was like, oh.
Is that what I
Hey
sound
everybody, it's AJ
like?
for Disney Food Blog. Now we tried it
It's
all,
not- it's
so
not
we can
perfect.
Definitely tell you which are must tries and
But when I'm looking at you, when I'm listening to the video and I realize you're not talking, my brain does like this little slip up where it's like, wait, what?
Food, and we've got the tips and tricks to help you navigate.
Fuck
the
is that?
Oh,
Mac and cheese?
Epcot's International Food and Wine Festival is running now.
that's
through
moose.
November
Ooh.
23rd, 2024.
I would hope it's ice cream, but I think you're right. It's probably moose.
Gotta get over there. Not only are there
Probably moose.
41 booths, they
I
are
sound-
all
I sound
open
better
now,
than this,
even if that
right?
means they're holding out in a temporary
Help
tent.
my
The start of a
self-esteem,
new festival is always a bit of
please.
a struggle, but this year came with some new surprises.
Oh.
Don't worry, I'm going to share all the details.
She sounds like
That's
the
a
Watch
hard-boiled
Mojo
egg!
girl.
Uh-oh. Bands partake in some exclusive
Thank you,
festival
Jirafi.
scavenger
Thank you.
hunts and buy so much festival
Who the fuck
merchandise.
put a hard-boiled
The
egg in
concert series
ramen?
performances are free with Epcot
A
admission
Disney
and take place
employee.
at the America Gardens Theater. Internationally known artists perform Friday through Monday with
There's
local bands.
the thing. I actually did learn a little bit recently. Apparently, without special permits, you have to cook eggs all the way through.
Yes.
So like if you go to like McDonald's or like Whataburger for like breakfast and stuff, and you get one of their breakfast sandwiches that has an egg on it, it has to be cooked all the way through.
Yep.
Some teenager who isn't paid well enough to make it soft boiled. That's probably true.
Yeah. Like I said, Disney employee.
Yeah, you're trained to do it one way, and you'll be damned if it's going to be any issue. Plus, with how many people they serve, you don't want to risk somebody claiming that that egg is what made them sick.
I got salmonella from the Disney park
From Disney
eggs.
ramen.
Yeah.
And my liver shut down after I drank a corn old fashioned.
And then I died. Give me $10 million.
I was going to say, wasn't there a guy that was suing Disney World recently, like
He
in the
was
last couple of years?
suing-
Because his wife died?
Yeah, he tried to sue Disney because his wife passed away from an allergic reaction. However, Disney lawyers claimed that because he agreed to no arbitration in his Disney
Oh,
Plus
that's
free
right.
trial,
From months before, that was like
Yeah.
a free trial, yeah?
yeah, they tried to get out of it, and then the PR for Disney went so south so fast, as it should.
Hi, Harvey.
That I think they settled. I can't remember. Oh, hi, Harvey, hi, and hi, Biggles. Hello,
Wiggles.
the Wiggles.
The Wiggles, the
The Wiggles
Master
and the
Briggles, the
Barbies.
Master Briggles, the VT Horizons, where you can check out new merch.
Merch. Buy
Thanks
your
for the free
merch.
segue, Biggles. We're
Go
also
get
going to
the
be
merch.
having
There's-
more merch really super soon. Not for Biggles, but we're getting apparel really soon.
Yeah, I seen it. It's very good. I'm gonna get a matching set.
And I'm going to have to fight Faye to not go out in public wearing the tracksuit.
I know it's because I will be too sexy, and you just can't. You
I'll
just
wear them,
can't
I'll
let
wear
me
them
outside.
separately. I'm not wearing them together.
No, I have to achieve maximum sex appeal by wearing my matching Marin go round tracksuit set and going out in public in it.
Marin, would you like your pants shot? No. Harvey, we
Harvey,
know
you
you buy your George pre-shat. We've already covered this.
Harvey, shit Marin's pants.
Malin coin soon. Announcement when? I need to figure that out.
Hello, Stevie. Hello, Hyper.
But I want to do one of those like momentum or like memory coins, where it's like
Yeah.
enamel coins.
Mm-hmm.
The shatting is happening. Listen, Harvey, I know you have a thing for diapers, but you don't need to make it everybody else's problem.
Oh goodness. Not
And
the
I will give no
shatting.
context. So now Harvey's the weirdo.
The hot girl shat, not the hot girl shit. The hot girl shat.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can, Harvey. And I just did. You can come in here and defend yourself if you would like.
I wanna.
Give her a minute. Give her a minute.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting.
She's never lived it down now. Correct. Listen,
Even
when
I don't have the context for this one.
I couldn't figure out where you were.
Hello, Harvey.
Hello.
You're so sweet and wonderful. I hope you're having a
Oh.
good day.
Thank you. That was the nicest thing to enter to, considering I was talking about shitting Marin's pants.
I think it would be funny if you shat Marin's pants. So
Me
You make
too.
one diaper joke. It wasn't one. It was Harvey asking every person that jumped into a Discord call on a scale of 1 to 10. How do you feel about diapers?
is that
For
what
like
happened?
2 hours. Not that doesn't even count. I don't know
Listen,
anybody that came in before
that
I
was-
did, but she asked me when I
no.
came in, and then
It
every
was
person after me.
Marin.
Mhm.
And every person after Marin was one other person, which was Biggles.
Ah.
That was it.
Was Sour in there already? I thought Sour came in afterwards.
No, Sour was in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it happened twice.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not 3 times.
But
It only
yeah, but how many
happened
times
twice.
did you say it to the other people that were already in the call?
Oh, but that's because we were trying to figure out if my friend was actually a furry or not.
Your friends?
Ah, It was one of those.
It was specific. Yeah, it was Elf. It was Elf.
Wait, that was the 1 to 10? Yes, it was
Oh,
Biggles.
Never knew.
Because like after a bit you stopped saying like the point afterwards, you would just start it with the on 1 to 10, how do you feel about it? And then you would trail off.
Yeah. That's so funny. Biggles never knew.
Ah. I have received the context.
And
Yeah,
so,
but now we all know Harvey shats her pants on stream.
Oh
well,
no!
definitely on stream. Well, I'm
Oh,
a
yeah.
gamer.
No,
Gamer that
no
can
bathroom breaks
leave
for
my
Harvey.
stream.
No bathroom breaks for Harvey.
That's
Exactly.
true. Do you have the special gamer toilet chair? Is that how you
Is that,
do
the,
it?
is that
Yeah.
the bucket with the racer
No,
chair over the top of it with a hole cut
Yeah.
through it?
I just have a silly straw attached to my anus, and that goes
Ah.
like it goes like woo 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 all the way around the room. You know, wraps around the room, and then it dumps it into a bucket outside. So
does
that
it make Does it make the sound effect? Does it go woo 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 woo?
How in this
Yeah,
Harvey
yeah.
and diaper baby? No.
That's
We are
very
not going to do this.
No.
Oh dear.
I will never demean somebody to being that. I have seen how weird those people are. I've been on the internet long enough. And I
I've
know
seen
about
the ancient
rainforest.
texts.
Exactly.
God save rainforest.
No,
Rainforest.
God doesn't need to save rainforest.
God needs to smite us.
Yeah.
God, rainforest
did.
knows what it fucking did.
Not the fuck it bucket.
Yes, the fuck it bucket.
Woo.
There's a repeating side quest in the Yakuza series about this. What? Oh, are you talking
Really?
about the baby daycare mission?
Oh, that is a thing. I thought they meant the bucket, the gamer bucket.
Okay, yeah. I forget where I was watching. I think it was somebody doing explaining why you should play Yakuza. And there was one of the
Oh.
side missions they explained was you help this guy out and he takes you back to where he needs to go. And it's a grown man daycare.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old man daycare sequence.
In fact,
remember
you should
that.
only play Yakuza for the side stories.
They're so unhinged.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play Yakuza at some point. I have, I think, Yakuza 0 already.
Good game.
The fucking
Yakuza
fuck, we're
0 is my
talking
favorite
Homestuck
one.
now? No.
Please no. No.
We're not bringing.
No.
We're talking
We're not
Disney
bringing
food,
that
and by
back.
that we're talking moose.
Yes,
Moose. Yeah, everything is moose.
everything is.
Do you want to
moose. We
join us,
saw the
Harvey,
photo
or
evidence.
I'm gonna have to go because I have some cleaning up to do.
that is
but-
totally fine. I just wanted to see if you wanted to stay after
I
making fun of
appreciate
you.
that. No, I appreciate. No, that's what I'm here for. I come in, I get made fun of, I leave, and it's a good time.
And then clips get made, and then I end up having to upload them for Hora.
Exactly.
It's the equation. It's the formula.
Listen, if I had a nickel for every time the first minute of a Horatius highlight video started with Harvey saying some unhinged shit, I wouldn't have to do
I
this
don't-
job for Hora.
I don't know how to prepare you for the fact that this gets so much worse. It gets
I'm
so
sure
much
it
worse.
does, because I already have 4 more downloaded. The
Yeah.
next one's going out Friday.
The streams leading up to him leaving for MagFest were worse.
God, Harvey, were you trying to do something?
Yeah, because he was applying for partner and I was jealous, so I was trying to stop that from happening. No,
Oh, I should have done
Oh,
that with
no.
Kono. Damn, I should
was
have gone
joking.
on and said embarrassing shit with Kono. Damn it.
yeah, see? See?
Honey, Marin, I don't think that would have worked for Kono. He
Yeah,
might,
he probably
might
would have liked the shaming.
He would have loved it.
Mhm.
All right, I'll leave you two lovely ladies alone. Thank you so much.
You're
Have a
welcome.
good day, Harvey.
day.
I'll play Fortnite with you someday. She'll never know. She'll never know I said that.
I will tell on you.
No!
She heard it. She heard it. I don't even have to snitch. She heard you.
I always hear Fortnite. Shit. Someday, Harvey. Someday I will play it with you.
Attuned to the fork knife.
All right, let's see what fresh hell this is.
Through Thursday. Showtimes
Let's listen to Faye tell us about Disney World.
That's not me.
David Archuleta, Hanson, Boyz
You have a
II Men,
sister?
Smash Mouth, 98 Degrees.
Oh wait, I already know
I
the
have-
answer to that.
You can see the full lineup on
I
our
have
website.
6 of
I was gonna say you have several. Never mind. Take it back.
The show without having to wait hours.
I am
in line.
literally the
There will
ultimate
also be
middle
scavenger
child.
hunts and
There are
food crawls
3
to keep
older
you
and
entertained
3
while
I was gonna say
younger
the
than
middle
me.
of the
And
middle
don't
of
forget about all
7.
that exclusive
Yeah.
festival merchandise.
So I am
This
both
year, we've got
simultaneously
stuff
the oldest,
featuring
the
Remy,
youngest,
Chef
the middle
Mickey,
child, and the
Chef
only
Minnie,
child
Muppet
all
Collection,
at
and
the
a
same
whole chef
time.
segment line, and
Ask me
exclusive
about my
annual pass holder
problems.
stuff, too. And yep, we'll be talking about whatever is going
Listen,
on. or
nobody
not
wants a
going
$40
on at
mug,
Convenience
okay?
Store Hall in just a second. Wait
I
for
only
that.
bought myself
today's
1
video,
mug
we're
from
just going
Epcot,
over
and that was a
the
huge Nightmare Before Christmas mug that I can fit 2 cups of coffee in.
I would like to announce I have done a crime to Disneyland.
What have you did?
The statute
What
of
have you
limitation
did?
is up, so I
Okay.
yoinked a keychain for my sister.
That's fine. It's a massive corporation. Always
Because
steal
it
from
was
massive.
$15 for a keychain, and I was like,
Yeah, no. Here's the thing, children. All of what I'm about to say is a joke, and I'm referencing Cyberpunk.
Yes.
In Cyberpunk, you should always steal from massive corporations because they don't care about the middleman, and it increases your reputation within the game. If you see people taking things that they need, no, you didn't. In Cyberpunk, the game, where you are notoriously anti-capitalist and anti-corporate. This has been a funny piece of comedy with Motley Faye.
I agree. In Cyberpunk, this is the proper play style.
Yes.
It's okay to steal from corpos in Cyberpunk. Correct.
In
It's
Cyberpunk.
always morally correct to steal from corpos.
In Cyberpunk. It's morally correct. I love people stealing.
I love that
from
we randomly
corpos
talk
in
about Cyberpunk on the stream all the time.
Listen. Like, you can't. In Minecraft is no longer a suitable court defense. All right, they got rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But luckily now we get to talk about the anti-capitalist game.
Exactly, and it's such a wonderful game. I expanded upon that lore I showed you. By the
I didn't
way,
declare war on capitalism for, what was it, for the, or an America gone by. Fuck, I need to memorize that fucking monologue because that is such a good monologue.
You need to memorize it, and then you need to record it.
Yes.
And then you need to allow yourself to post the nice edited recording that Sai will make for you once you record it.
You make an excellent point.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
say, am I gonna have to get the B-roll and stuff for her, or can it just be audio? I could upload it just as audio to Twitter.
She can just have it be audio, and then she has enough B-roll footage herself.
Oh boy!
I can't wait for the move to be done, and I can just stand ominously in your doorway, going,
"Make content!"
No, I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm just gonna make the content, Marin.
Me curled up in my chair watching video essays while playing Civilization for the past 7 hours. You standing in the doorway. Did you make content today?
Did you make content today, Marin? It's just like that like the stereotypical like low horror stinger.
Yeah.
Did you make it?
Oh,
Have you
exactly.
recorded?
Stevie's got it.
I'll go. Yes, exactly. I'll go to the one place where capitalism hasn't corrupted.
Surprise!
So anyway, Disney food.
Yes, Disney food. We haven't even made it to the food
We had
yet.
a comprehensive, super crazy, in-depth
No, we
guide
keep
to
getting
all
bamboozled
things
by the
food
fact
and
that there's an
wine. We've
E in the
compiled
video.
everything you need for a perfect food
And I
wine
don't. I
festival,
didn't.
including documenting over 200
Oh, what the fuck is
dishes and
that?
Drinks, every
Wet.
concert date and time,
Just
every
wet.
concept
Soggy.
from the festival, a
Apple
full
pie.
That's
exclusive
dry.
Mac and
That is
cheese.
the
events, and you're gonna
driest
find
apple
it all
pie
in
and
our
mac and cheese I've ever
2024
seen.
It looks like they
Deep
got the
Dive to
food and then
Epcot
like
Food and
ran
Wine
outside
Festival. Our team
to
has been
record
working
it.
hard to put this one together
Yeah.
for months with the latest
That
and
looks
greatest
like
tips
butter
we have
chicken
on
and
hand to help
samosas.
you be an expert.
Mm.
You're gonna find this and all of our other snack and holiday guidebooks, plus all of our teas
The
and
number,
mugs and
because
sweatshirts
at one point I
over
was
at
planning a Disney trip
wolfbeastore.com.
for me and a
Use
bunch
code
of friends
YouTube to get a
that fell
discount on
through.
those guides.
Mm.
And now our choices for the best.
And so I was
food
like
at
looking
this
up like all
year's
of these
festival.
guides and
Yep,
stuff
this
and
is
like
the
watching
best
so many
of
of
the
these videos
best.
to understand what I
We're
needed
gonna
to
head
do or how I
Mexico
should do
first 'cause
things.
There's always
Mhm.
something incredible
And,
at the Mexico booth. They do new stuff.
There's
every
so many
single
out there
year,
that have
which is
like
definitely
private
not the
fucking
case at
newsletters,
most
private
of the
guides
booths,
and
I would say.
stuff.
Most of the booths
Yep.
do have returning food items. And Mexico is like
Oh.
all new every single
Some
What is that,
people
like
take
slurry?
love that ambition.
I'm
So
not
first up,
sure.
tostada de camarones at Mexico, $7.75. So we found this dish to have an amazing explosion of
That's
flavor.
not the
$7?
The tostada is
worst.
made with tempura battered shrimp atop a fried corn tortilla with
Oh, it's fried
guacamole,
shrimp.
cabbage,
Okay, I thought it was a
tomato,
slurry of some
Mexican
kind.
mango, and chili
Okay.
lime.
It's because they used
Now,
a
every
wet
time we
batter
take a bite,
shrimp.
We got to taste different flavors,
see.
which made it
It
all
still
come
looks
together
small
for
for
an
It's
$7.
very
amazing
small.
amazing
I could.
dish.
That's
We would say this
like
is
that plate fits
shrimp
into the palm of
tacos,
her
but 10
hand.
times better.
Yeah.
It came with 3 huge pieces of fried
It's the
shrimp that were
angles
fried
that make it look
perfectly.
larger.
The shell on the bottom even stayed crispy.
Three
even
shrimp
with
is pretty
all the
good for
toppings.
Disney.
This was so good. Also in
Those are
Mexico,
pretty
the
sizable
flauta
shrimp.
de
I'll give it- what?
barbacoa at $8.
Flauta.
This is fried tortillas filled with
Flauta.
barbacoa beef, topped with salsa verde, crema mexicana, and queso
I love
fresco. A
flautas.
reporter who tried this normally does not like
But this
flautas,
looks like
but
sad
they
white
said this
people
dish
food. It
was
doesn't look like what a
amazing.
proper
The corn
flauta should
fry
look
was
like,
light
unless I'm
and
crazy.
airy,
Marion,
not
am I
greasy at
crazy?
all, and it's
It's
juicy,
because like the
delicious
Food and Wine Festival,
This
they
also
usually
was
do
our
try to
favorite
mix
part,
things
had
up. Like there's a
little tortilla,
radish
and
on
when
top for
combined
Pete's
with the
sake.
cheese, this whole dish
Yeah.
melts in your mouth. And also in Mexico, this one's $6.
Elote?
Elote. Jesus. Coco.
The cornbread was super moist.
Hold on, I don't think somebody's knocking. I'll be back in a second. I'm gonna go schlump. You're in charge, Faye. The video's gonna keep going.
Okay.
Actually, never mind. We're about to have commercial break, so I'm gonna go check that. You're in charge during commercial break.
I'm in charge. Bjork. Yes, exactly, Chad. Bjork, Bork. Mystery. Oh, I'm sure she's just. Hi, Ginger. Hello. Bork. Bork. No. I suppose. Well, she's gone. Have a meow train. Yes, I did see you cast boat, Vadric. Good job. Good boat. Excellent boat. That's a nice boat. Yes, get your meows out before she comes back. Play some words, too. Practice your vocabulary, chat. It's very important, you know. It's good for your brain. Meow indeed. Lion. I'm sorry, Harvey. It's just meows, meow, 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 and then lion. Like, I know you're playing the game, but it's just rawr, woo.
What was that thing?
Rawr, woo.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it, local. No.
I'm not allowing that. No.
But it was my sister. My sister's here because she swung into town because she broke her tooth just since we last saw her a couple of days ago.
Oh goodness, is she okay?
She already got it fixed. She got it fixed and swung by here, and then she's heading back because apparently she still has class today.
Oh.
So she drove all the way here to come get her tooth fixed at the dentist and then come back.
I can't believe I got clipped.
I can't believe Local's trying to fucking worm his way through this.
Local sure is trying.
How could you, Local? Oh, I forgot to start the music.
How could this happen to Local 7-Eleven?
Gong.
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 Get the spray bottles? They're full of acid, but okay.
Acid. Well, wait, which acid? The acid we take for our Mage the Ascension discussions, or acid?
Let me check. These aren't labeled.
Oh, damn it. Well, we're gonna have a really interesting time at our next nerd session.
All right, your face is either about to melt off or you're about to go on one hell of a trip. Either way, good luck, kids. We're gonna do one more round. I'll give him one more round.
It burns!
I know they're full of hydrofluoric acid because I put it in there. Well, I replaced a couple of them with LSD.
Either a trip or a trip. This is why it's important to label your bottles, kiddos.
I mean, they could both technically be trips to the hospital. I forget how concentrated I made them.
Oh, true.
Like, this is a trip start and you go straight into orbit before going straight to the pits of hell.
A Satan eating your kneecaps kind of situation.
Yeah.
Oh, well, sucks for them. I love not being human.
I finished my mage character last night, aside from name. And I'm very excited to play her.
Yeah. I'm excited for you. I'm glad you found a game.
The Hectic's here. Hectic, I'm sorry I bamboozled you with scores and stuff and essentially made a mage that can get hit by a car. It's kind of funny. It's not D&D, it's Mage the Ascension.
Mage the Ascension, which I cannot in good conscience... Look, I'm going to tell you, play Mage the Ascension, but I also can't in good conscience recommend playing Mage the Ascension unless you have somebody already experienced in playing Mage to walk you through the character creation process.
Hold on, I need I know what I need. I know exactly what I need. Let me go find it. We need to talk about Wraith the Oblivion.
Oh no, do we?
We need their analogy.
It's the most fun I've ever had.
Hi, Speaker D.
Hi, Speaker D. I like your silly PNG, Speaker D.
I need the...
How funny would it be if, in all of our doing this, if we got noticed one day?
I mean, I've got to talk to Hulky before.
That's so neat.
I'd gladly do free work for them. I'm trying to find the... I swear it wasn't this far back. I need the where he explains what Wraith the Oblivion is. But they didn't chapter this, so...
Buckets. I mean... You could take a crack at giving an explanation.
But his is really fucking funny, and I want chat to understand it.
But this one's funny.
But this one's funny. It's somewhere in here. God damn it.
This one's funny. We're finding the reference, chat. The bit is loading. Please be patient.
The bit is taking forever to load.
We're loading the bit. The bit has to buffer. It's fine. It'll be worth it. It'll be so funny, and you'll nose exhale for sure.
I want his bit where it's like nobody really plays this one because, well, another player is contractually obligated to whip you with a horse whip.
Yes.
But Jesus, where is it? I'm pretty sure it's before the Chronicles. Yeah, this is him talking about the creation. And maybe it's so small that it literally doesn't show up on the preview.
It might be, to be perfectly honest.
A lot of guns in Age Poorly.
Oh dear. They're not wrong, given the
What's wrong? You don't like the Eastern European charnel houses?
No.
The Showa books?
No. No, I do not. I also don't like all of the Eastern Hemisphere culture lumped together into one big, like homogenous, stereotypical Asian. That's not okay.
Quaijin time! You cannot ask me what a Quaijin is!
No! Forbidden! Verboten, even!
God damn
Wrong. Imbued enthusiast. We should be able to F4 search for words in a video the way that you
I
can do
wish.
on a page. Or F3, whatever the button is, you know what I mean.
Control F.
Control F, there we go. I'm too old for technology, Marin. I'm much too ancient. All these newfangled buttons and explanations and Lord knows what else. And then you have to take 60 tabs of acid just to understand anything. Polyethylene arteries. Now, why would you do that?
Why can't I find it?
I'm so sorry, Marin.
God damn it. Maybe it's actually earlier in here.
It might be. It would be painful. I don't want polyethylene arteries, Carrie. This seems like it would be very inconvenient, even for me.
I found it. It was way earlier.
It's always the last place you look, isn't it?
It always is. All right. Get out of here.
Oh, okay.
No, not you. Get back here.
Didn't even get to hang up the call.
Your goal isn't to become king of Ghost Mountain. It's to confront your death, accept it, and leave your character behind as
It's a really painful game.
This act of confronting mortality, of essentially starting play with a character who ideally won't survive, it's very interesting.
Yeah, the good ending is you
I think
die.
It's pretty powerful and bold. And the only reason more people don't play it is because another player at your table contractually has to whack you with a horsewhip all game. It's very weird, kind of adversarial, but it can be good. Only play it with your rabbi, your priest, your polycule, whoever you trust. But hey, you want to hear more about combat? Let's go.
No. See, that's how fast his description of Wraith goes. That's why I struggled to find it.
It was just a tiny little bite-sized piece.
No.
Piece. I can speak words.
Speak.
Raspberry.
Raspberry beret.
Berry. Yeah, it's CBT the game.
It's CBT the game, yes. Except the person who is currently kicking you in the balls is sitting right next to you at the table, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And there are no safe words. I mean, there are, but there aren't.
The safe word is my HP is at 0.
Yes.
Have you played the Fear and Hunger RPG? No,
and
I
this
have not.
honestly might be one of the best desserts we have ever had at the Food and Wine
Listen, I don't care what anybody says.
Moving
Corn
on
makes
to
a
the
good
fry
dessert.
basket, the adobo
It's true.
yuca fries are back on our list for $5.75.
It's really loud.
Okay,
I'm
I've
turn that down
had-
a bit more.
How thrilled we are to see
I've
them
had
back
yuca
on the
fries.
list.
Yuca
These
fries are
adobo yuca
delicious,
fries
but I
with
didn't
garlic
have them at
cilantro
Disney. I
aioli,
had them at a
and these
hotel in
things
Tampa,
seriously
Florida.
impressed
That makes
us in
sense. There's a Mexican
2022
place near
and
me
were
that
our
sells yuca
favorite
fries that
things
I've yet
at
to
the booth
try.
that year. In 2023, their texture was fantastic, perfectly crunchy. Their flavor was spot on.
Oh, so they do bring back
garlic
recipes.
bread and French French fry form,
Oh.
and the sauce served with them offered a delicious tangy flavor. Now, the fries did not
It looks kind of like some
disappoint
kind
again
of
this year. They were once again the best thing at this booth.
dill?
The flavor of the aioli is
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. It's light on the cilantro. The breading
Is
on
it like
the
a
fries
dill
is
aioli?
creamy and super
Cilantro.
crispy.
No,
and
it's
the fries are
cilantro.
incredibly garlicky and
Finely
a really
chopped.
good way.
I
Imagine
have,
the most amazing
unfortunately,
garlic
the
bread
gene
you've
that
ever
makes
had in your life,
cilantro
but in a
taste like soap.
wedge/fry form.
Do you have the
Just
gene
for
where you
some
can
reason
smell
you do not want
asparagus
to
on
miss
people's
these.
piss
Get them,
too?
$5.75.
That
the
I do not
braised
know.
beef poutine
I do.
at Refreshment
I can smell
Court,
asparagus
hosted
on
by
people's piss.
Boursin Cheese.
Oh.
This is
If I
one of
walk
our
into a
favorite
bathroom
dishes,
and I would be like,
we have a feeling it could
"Oh,
become a favorite of yours
who had
too.
asparagus?"
This is basically a braised beef poutine.
Or
It
I'll
features
have moments
fries
where,
with braised
"Oh,
beef,
I had
Boursin
asparagus."
garlic and fine herb cheese
Well,
sauce,
steak
cheese
bite
curds,
mac and cheese
crumbled
night's
Boursin
going to be
garlic
real
and fine
interesting
herbs,
because
and
the
gherkin
side I make
relish.
with that is
So much
usually
yum
roasted
in one
asparagus.
plate for just
Ooh.
$10. It really has it all.
Oh,
No,
then
I
fine.
like asparagus. It's just that weird thing where you like walk to the bathroom and it's just like, why does it smell like asparagus in here?
Something we could have done without.
No, I make
And this
I
year,
make it
we're
with
big
like
fans
garlic
again.
butter
And the relish
and
didn't
like
bother
a
our
little bit of
reporter who tried
Parmesan
it.
on
The dish
it,
was
and then I roast it
savory
in the
and rich,
oven.
and the meat fell apart so easily.
I'm not gonna lie, this actually looks awesome.
That does look yummy. But portion control.
Is it that big? It
need
doesn't look like
more-
it's that big.
The flavors
know,
mix
it's
well with
zoomed
that groovy
in.
Boursin
Like, that's a
cheese, which I
small- look at how
absolutely love. I have some in my
small.
fridge right now. And when you get a
Yeah.
crispy fry with all the toppings in one bite, it is perfection. Plus, this year we liked how the relish added an acidity to cut through that richness of the poutine. The
I was
fries
gonna say,
do
that
get
makes sense.
soggier the
It's
longer you let
very
the
much
dish
like-
sit.
Also,
Of course,
it's
so
reminding me
you
of like
gotta
a
be careful
good
there,
Salisbury
but
steak.
Overall, it's a dish we'd highly
Yeah.
recommend. The smoked corned beef is back, and it is something you do not want to
Oh,
skip.
on chips.
I love this dish. Every single year, I can remember when
That's
Flavors
more
on
than-
Fire first became a
Yeah.
festival booth years and years.
I'm sorry if I'm
and years ago,
interrupting you
and
because
this
my
dish
brain at the
blew
same
me
time y'all are
away.
both
I
announced
went
you were
back and
talking
got it
is like, I
like
can't tell who's
3 more times
talking.
during the festival, and it
No, you're
continues to be
fine.
that
It's weird
good.
for me
It's served
too.
with
Like,
house-made potato chips,
we
cheese
speak-
curds, pickled
Okay,
onions,
so
and
the
beer
reason
cheese
it
fondue,
sounds
and
so
no, I
similar
don't
is
blame
because, especially because in my videos, I've learned the YouTube cadence.
Yeah.
Because there's a speed at which you are supposed to speak and a cadence that you are supposed to use within your videos that psychologically gets people to stick around and watch longer. And that's the cadence that she's using.
It's the
And because-
enunciation.
And because I've used it for so long, obviously it's going to work its way into my speech just a touch whenever I'm not recording. And that's the freaky thing about it, is that it's like, it's not mind control. Listen, it's just a little bit of psychological manipulation so that you can watch a fun educational video about fashion or food or a horror movie review.
It's the tone shifting up and back down over and over to keep your brain engaged with the words that she's saying.
And because you see, chat, if you look here on the screen, you'll see a delicious display of a fantastic Disney meal. However, you'll notice that the price isn't quite right. You see what I did there? It's weird, isn't it? Oh boy, I love being manipulated.
You
Me
are not
too.
immune to propaganda.
That's why I
Coco.
date women.
You have fallen
No
to the
wonder.
lesbian propaganda.
Yes.
Oh my god, Coco just plopped down. I can't reach her. Coco, come back.
Oh no.
Beer cheese
Coco, come
fondue.
back.
Hmm.
Beer cheese fondue. That sounds yummy.
Did you just whine at me, Miss Ma'am?
No.
No, she's Coco's on the floor next to me and she like looked up after I stopped petting her and just goes, All right, hold on. I'm going to start it, but I'm going to lean down to pet Coco, but I can still hear everything.
Okay,
for
please
drooling
squish
all
her
over your
for me. It's
screen
very
at
important that you do this.
In 2023, we felt the balance of flavors and textures was fantastic.
It's
There was the
interesting though
salty
because
beef,
what I'm
creamy
assuming
cheese,
is
a
like
little
the
tang from
beef
pickled onions, and the
slices are
crunchiness
so
of the chips, and
thin
this year,
that they
we
look.
love it just
I think
as
that's red
much.
onions.
Honestly, this has been
the
on our Best of
mince,
the Fest,
yeah.
probably
Like that's the beef
since
that's
the
right off her
beginning
thumb,
of this
but then
booth,
like
not
the
a Best
red
of the
is
Fest, we've been doing Best of the
Like
Fest
that
onions.
red, it looks like salmon
Anyway, the mix
almost.
of
I thought
Doesn't
the
it?
same at first, and I was like, no, if this is corned beef, it's likely red
Yeah.
onions.
Amazing. It always
Yeah.
is. And it's
Or it's
It looks
onions
yummy.
that have been caramelized with red wine.
See, this is why I wish the world wasn't burning down, because then we could go on a Disney
next
trip.
we're going to talk swine brine from Flavors
Swine
of
brine?
Fire.
Swine
I know what you're
brine?
thinking. A drink made with Jim Beam bourbon,
It
apple
looks
cinnamon cider,
muddy.
lemon juice, and Dijon
I think that's the point.
mustard with a piggy
Dijon
wing inside
mustard?
It. Can't be good, but it is.
With
it's really
piggy
different
wing?
and unique, like nothing we've
Piggy
had
what?
before, thanks to that mustard. And it reminded us of fall
What's
and
the
pickle
piggy
all at the
wing?
same time.
I
This
don't
one's
know. I'm a little
$11.50. It has
scared.
been at the Flavors from Fire since the booth began as well, same as the corned beef up there. But it doesn't always land on our Best of the Fest list, so our reporter must have really loved it this year.
Pork
We didn't
wing.
taste
Is
much
that
of
an
the
ear
bourbon,
tip?
Which is probably a good thing.
Maybe.
Tasted like a briny pickle juice with a
Hi,
splash of
Ringwraith. How are
meat.
you doing?
I know, but try it
And
for
here for
yourself.
Bones. How are you
All
doing
new
today? We're doing
Flavors
good. We're
from
hanging out. We're
Fire,
doing
the
some
Steakhouse
amusement park
That
food
is
burger.
the
exploration.
saddest burger I've ever seen in my entire life.
A blended burger.
I'm just gonna say that one more
I
time. Truffle
don't
brie
know,
cheese
but I
fondue.
don't care for
There's
it.
a
Look
I
at
think
the
that's just a
nothing.
flub up on who
Potato
made
chips
the
on a
burger. They didn't
spicy
flatten
bun.
it enough, so
Now,
when
this
it cooked, it
sounds
just
rich,
turned into a
and it
meatball.
is in the best way possible. There's a charred flavor that really complements.
That
the
is
yeah, it looks more like
sad.
he
truffle
burnt the
flavors,
burger.
too. Now the
Yeah.
brie gets so melty.
It's
and
not
Okay, that
burnt,
burger is
it's
way
charred.
overdone.
together. The
It
patty
really-
is the
there's
perfect
no juice
combination
in
of
that
meat and
burger.
mushrooms, and it's easy to see why this has made our Best of the Fest.
I think it's mixed
yet
in there with
again.
mushrooms
Flavors
and
from
stuff.
Fire, excellent booth,
Maybe?
y'all. Can't miss it. We got a brand new Best of the Fest item
Hawaii?
here from Hawaii.
Rice
this is the new
bowl?
Hawaiian rice bowl, which features
There's
eggs,
actually a,
spam, spicy
No, I'm
Hawaiian
not
fast food
paying
place near me.
Furikake for
Oh, that's exciting.
$6.25.
I'm not
To be
paying
honest,
$6
this is a
for
super
that.
familiar deconstructed version of the spam sushi we had last
There's
year.
no
we were intrigued
food
by
in
this
that
dish,
bowl.
but we did not expect it to be as
There's
good
a
as
snack
it is.
in that bowl.
The spam is cooked really, really
like a
well.
bite
It
of food
pairs
in
with
that
the
bowl.
other flavors perfectly. We ate
But yeah, the
every
flying
last
place near me
bite
sells
of
like a
this
bunch of
one,
different kinds, like
and it was
chicken
one
and
of our
pork.
later booths that we
And then they have
tried,
spam
means
musubi
we've
as like a
eaten lot
side item you
already.
can get.
So no regrets.
That sounds
this one
so
is
yummy.
$6.25 over at Hawaii.
And
So the
they-
combo
it's served
of
fast, like, they have a
pineapple and
drive-thru.
lemonade and the frozen pineapple chipotle
Ooh.
lemonade
It's because
and
they only have, they have like probably
was
less than a
something we don't
dozen
see
items on their
often,
whole menu.
And having it in a slush form was a treat on top of a treat. It was, of course,
Tahini.
refreshing on a hot day and wasn't too
Tahini.
tart despite the pineapple and the lemon, but it wasn't too sweet either. The chili lime rim was delicious, but did get pretty spicy after a while. And this isn't one
It's
we
one of those
recommend
building
for kids
cutes
just
that the more
because
you
of that,
the more you
but
drink
overall,
from
you
like
will
a
definitely
tahini
be
rim,
getting
the
this
hotter
again.
it's gonna get in the
Also
back of your
get it with
throat.
vodka, but without the vodka, it's $5.29. Bramblewood
No,
Bites
it's
is a
not
brand new
being
booth
used
to
to
the festival,
American
and it debuted
proportions.
with
It's
a
Disney
bang.
literally
The
serves you
grilled cider
nothing at
brine
exorbitant
pork tenderloin with
prices.
fennel apple slaw and
It's also
apple
like
cider
I think
zest.
this is the Food and
Easily
Wine
made
Festival, and the
this
goal
list.
is they
The
want
pork
you to try a
tenderloin
bunch
is
of different
so
stuff.
juicy, and the char from the grill gives it a nice textural thing that just works beautifully. A hint of a crunch, if you will. Then you
Oh, I
got
thought you
that
can eat it. You can
sweetness
eat
from the apple
tahini.
cider, which pairs
Is that what you're talking about?
perfectly with
Is that what you're talking about?
savoriness of
No,
the
you
pork
eat tahini.
tenderloin.
I'm just saying,
This
it's
is
just
seriously gonna be one of our favorite
if you
things
don't
at this
like
year's
let your
festival.
mouth like cool
Really.
down after
And this
tahini
one's
isn't
only
that spicy.
$6.75. Now
but
you know that I personally
enjoying
am
it-
not going to do
oh
the best
my
of the
God.
festivals
Why is
without
it
including the
round?
freshly baked carrot cake. Now
It's
this
it's
one
individual
in the
sized carrot
past
cakes.
has been at the Hops and Barley booth,
Round.
and it's been at Flavors
Milled
of
and Mold.
America. But this year it has appeared at the new Milled and Mold booth, and we are so glad it has returned. The freshly baked
I want to
carrot
go to
cake
Disney
comes
World
with
because the
cream
only time
cheese
I've gone
icing,
is
and
the
it's
one
a
time I went with my dad.
sticky
Oh, a
sensation.
fig.
Once again, this cake
Yeah, and you didn't even
delivered.
get
It
to-
tasted more like a nutty spicy.
I didn't have like my own
carrot
money. I
cake,
had
but
$20
we didn't
of
mind.
spending
It was
money
dense,
for the
but
entire
dry,
first day.
And the icing, though it can harden a little,
I think-
melts in your mouth. It also has that hint of a tang because it is cream cheese icing, but it's not overly
Depending
sweet.
on how
If you want
things
something
go,
that just
I am not
screams
opposed
autumn,
to
I
the
think you're gonna
idea
love
of
this.
going
Grab a friend and
on a
fork,
Disney
or
trip.
Get rid of the friend. That's
Disney
fine too.
Paris?
And dive into this one. It's
Oh,
only
we could do Disney
$4.75,
Paris.
y'all. Next up, we are headed to France, and
We
you know
do-
I can't
yeah,
say
we can do
any
Disney
of the names
Paris.
of these
Yay!
particular dishes, so I'm just going to tell you what they are in
Hi,
English.
Coco.
This
Hi,
one
Coco.
is
Welcome
a
back.
caramelized onion merlot with
Ooh.
goat cheese,
Ooh.
and it's $7.95.
hello.
This is an
I wanna
egg
know- I
merlot,
think
and
that's-
it's very fluffy and cloudy and pillowy. Yes, we just
Ooh.
described eggs as pillowy, and we are going to stick
Egg.
with it. The onions could have been a
Yeah,
bit
you can
more
make pillowy eggs.
caramelized, but honestly, the
Yeah.
dish was
That's like all the
great.
people
There
on
was just enough
Xiaohongshu,
cheese
have
sprinkled
been
through it
making,
that we
like, those
got some
steamed
with each
eggs.
bite. This is kind of like the top of the breakfast
It's either
ladder, and
steaming them or just
$7.95.
whipping them while
now,
you
the
cook
France
them. It
booth has
depends on-
presented escargot in a croissant at more recent festivals, so this is something of a
I
new
do not
Okay,
take on
no.
the
snail
previous dish.
croissant.
We've got the brioche.
I think
this is somebody who
escargot,
ate
and
an
we are
entire
still
can of
impressed by
escargot.
it. The escargot was fantastic. It was
I don't think you
garlicky
could
and
convince
soft.
me to
Someone
eat
also
a
described them as
croissant
slimy yet
pocket
satisfying,
of
like Timon on
escargot.
the Lion King, and
It
honestly,
doesn't look
that's a
that
great
bad.
way
I
to
would probably
describe 'em.
try it.
$7.95 on this
No.
one. And the
This
beef
is
bourguignon
as
at
open
France,
as I am to
$7.95
trying
as well.
new
This is
things, not
basically
that.
short
I'm
ribs and
sorry, I
Cabernet with
cannot.
roasted
Oh no,
potatoes.
Ordain's
It's
back, and
very
Ordain's got a a new
dish.
knife.
You can always count on France
Egg.
to have this sort of
And
thing
an egg.
on the
Are those
menu.
eggs or
One of
those
our
potatoes?
favorites every year. In 2023,
Those are
it was
potatoes, but
served with
Ordain has
pasta
an egg.
potatoes that
Oh,
ended
Ordain
up
does have an
as
egg.
Tater tots, but this is a
A good
little more
egg. Where'd you get the good
sophisticated.
egg?
The dish
Who did
was
you take that
wonderful.
from? You're not a
It's
good
really
egg.
Flavorful and melts in your mouth, and there was nothing dry about the meat at all.
That looks
Very
yummy, though.
robust and hearty. We loved it.
I'm gonna say a lot of the
Perfect
European ones
Heading over
are
to
going to be
India,
meat
let's
with
talk
some
about
kind
the
of
mango
side.
lassi that is
Yep.
back again.
It's usually
Not a
gonna
new
be
drink,
some
but
sort
it
of
has made
potato.
a special appearance on our best
The mango
of the Fest
lassi
list this
sounds
year
familiar for
'cause it
some
really
reason.
Impressed us. We got the non-alcoholic version for $5, but you
It's
can
like-
get it with Somra's chai cream liqueur for $11.50.
As I understand
In
it,
the
and I could
past,
be
we felt
wrong,
like
but
this
it's
drink
seen
had
as
a lot
like
of
one
mango
of like
flavor and was pretty
the
milky
Oh,
in
God.
drinks of
consistency.
India.
That naan is really sad.
Yeah, I've seen better naan in the grocery store.
Oh yeah, the
here.
grocery store naan is better than that. It looks like it's dried out. Maybe it's just
Sorta like a
old. Hopefully
milkshake,
it's
but
better if it's
lighter.
fresh.
This year, it was one of our favorites. It was
Naan
very
and,
light
like,
for being a
pita.
milk-based drink, and it had a great fruity flavor. We found it to be really
Okay, I think
fresh.
that's- I think
It can be
lassi
great
is
if you
like a,
need something to cool
a
you down from the
milk-based
Florida heat, or
Indian
Yeah,
you
it's
can
like a
after eating some
blended
of the more
milk
spicy
based
dishes
drink,
at the
yes.
festival.
Yeah,
If you
they
want
just
something
made it
fun,
alcoholic by adding the
non-alcoholic,
cream
or
liqueur.
alcoholic, should you choose, this is a great choice. Oh, look.
It's
another
about as
dish
like
with lots of
popular as like
cheese.
butter
Can you
chicken
blame me,
is,
though?
you know,
The
amongst the
warm
white
raclette
people.
Swiss cheese is
Lassi
an
and
iconic dish at the
korma and
festival,
butter
and one
chicken.
we can't
Ooh.
stop recommending. Y'all know I
Okay, that
used
does
to
not
live in
look good.
Switzerland, and I used to eat
I don't know
raclette
what that-
all the time.
It's ham
so
and
I
like
just
the
got a little
the
warm
cheese that like they
in my
put
heart
under a
for this
heater and then
particular
scoop on. Thank you
dish.
for the following,
This
Ray.
one is the Alpine
Yeah.
ham, baby potatoes, cornichons,
Yeah,
and
yogurt and
baguette.
fruit
This year,
juice,
once
basically.
Again, it was hot and savory, felt like a warm, comforting hug. It was also a great portion size, which can really
Ginger's
leave
got
you
a
feeling
box.
full in a good way.
box.
Grab the raclette for $5.75
Box,
and
box.
thank me later. And if you're in the mood for dessert
That is
when you're
such
at
a
this
cute
booth, they
emote.
also have that divine chocolate fondue. Now, this may be just
Put
the
it
most
in my
popular
mouth!
item at the Germany booth, and it's one we've
I'm
loved
getting
for
hungry.
years. I'm
Yeah,
actually
I am
still
too.
very, very hurt that they took this off the menu over at Summerfest. I don't know why I can't get this there anymore. Disney, if you're paying attention, please put it back on the menu at Summerfest year round. Anyway,
Give it
this
back,
is the
eat my
Schinken
ass.
Nudeln at
Give it
Germany,
back.
$5.25, an incredible price for such a good,
Cheese.
hearty, dense dish
It's
of
a
mac
cheese-
and cheese.
yeah, it's cheese and
basically
pork.
a rich pasta gratin
So,
dish. There's a ham,
Kind of
okay.
Germany,
cheese and pasta,
Norway,
$5.25.
and Sweden all
Insane.
kind of use
This dish,
some
by the way, is
variation
an
of
eligible
schenk
item
or
if you're
schenka
participating in the
for
Emil's
pork.
Fromage Montage cheese crawl during
So
the
that's
festival. So
if
get
you
this
see
and a
that,
bunch
it's
of other
usually some sort of pork or ham-based dish.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
ones, then you
Ordain's
might be
making
able to get
faces
yourself a
again.
free little cheese
Ordain,
dish. Now,
your
this
face
always
is a bit
favorite of
bejumbled.
ours. You get the delicious flavors in a hearty dish, and it's sure to fill you
Oh, hey,
up.
is that
so
that
grab it
schmuck
while
that
you're
let his
hungry.
guildmate die?
Beware, you may
Twice?
feel the need
Oh,
to take a nap
dear.
after enjoying
The same
this one.
guildmate
It's
died
basically
twice?
the heartiest and
Oh, no, not
creamiest
twice.
And then
mac
said
and
it wasn't
cheese
his
you've ever
fault
had.
and that
It's a
he was more
must-get.
important than
So
that
over at the
guildmate?
brand new Forest
Oh,
and
dear.
That's his
Field booth,
defense?
you're going to find the pumpkin mascarpone ravioli. This is made with sage brown butter, pecorino
But I'm
cheese, and
allergic
hazelnut
to
pralines.
pumpkin.
The pumpkin ravioli itself was
You what?
super tasty, which isn't
Oh,
always
yeah,
the
I'm
case with
allergic
the
to pumpkin.
ravioli.
I
They
found
a
out
lot
the
of
hard
times will
way.
rely
Oh.
on kind of
Oh, no.
accessories or garnishes or toppings to
And,
add
like,
the
Ooh.
flavor when you
I should
a
have an
ravioli like
EpiPen,
this. But
kind of
this had a lot
allergic, but
flavor
I'm not
at its
around
core, a
pumpkins or
solid
other
amount of sweet
gourds and
pumpkin and
squashes
mascarpone
enough to
filling that was
really
pleasant
warrant
but mild.
paying for
The
an
hazelnut praline
EpiPen.
just
Okay, it's
elevated
good
it
to
into
know. Now I
something
can
else
scratch
entirely.
out
The little
squash
crunchy
out
bits
of
on
the
top
garden
were so
idea.
interesting, both texture and
Yeah.
flavor-wise. Pumpkin
Paleo!
and brown
Oh,
butter
God,
is a
Paleo's
classic
skittering
fall
towards us.
combination
Paleo,
cheese,
no!
which is executed
Rapid!
perfectly.
Rapid,
Plus, it's
rapid,
part of the
rapid!
cheese crawl, and it's definitely
Rapid
a best
skitters.
of the fest contender. Staying at the brand new Forest and Field booth, the
Burrata.
burrata
Okay.
features seasonal
Is that
fall
cheese?
pumpkins, spiced pecans, apple puree.
I think
and
so.
fig
Yeah, I think it's a
vinaigrette.
cheese. It looks like a cheese.
Beautiful.
There's an
I think
apple,
this
so I'm
is
assuming
probably
it's
one of the
cheese.
prettiest
I see
dishes at the
figs,
festival
I
this
see
year. Now, it doesn't
apple.
sound
I guess they're
much,
apples.
but
They look
we
more
were
like
really
pears to
surprised
me.
by how well
Yeah,
it
it's like a
worked together.
cheap
If
charcuterie
fall
board.
could be taken and
Those are
transformed
pomegranate
into a
seeds.
dish, it would
Yep,
be
and then I
this.
think the middle
We
white thing
enjoyed
is
how
the
light and
cheese. I think
refreshing it was,
burrata
while
is
also
a
being the
soft
perfect
cheese.
combo of fall flavors. There was a nice
But
spice
in
and nuttiness
regards
thanks
to the pumpkin
pecans,
spice
there's plenty
thing,
of apple
I can
puree
have
and
pumpkin
fig
spice
vinaigrette. When
things
combined
so
with that
long
rich
as
burrata
there's
cheese,
no
it was
pumpkin
spicy and
puree
creamy with a
in
hint of
it.
sweetness.
And usually there's not.
$5.50 for something that
Well,
is
usually
just
there's not.
beautiful. Let's go next to Japan, where we're gonna have the teriyaki chicken bun for $7.95.
That's I actually
Let's
tried
go.
the
this
that
returning
cafe I
dish has
told
been
you
a
about
hit
where I
over
found the
and
braised
over again,
pork.
and this year once
I went
again
again and they have
impressed
buns like
us.
this, but
The
they have
teriyaki
a
chicken
curry
bun is made
chicken
with a
and they
steamed
have
bun
pork
filled with
one.
Chicken, vegetables, and teriyaki sauce. In the past, we've
And
listed
it's-
it
they're
as
pretty
a
good.
fest for kids
so
and
yummy.
adults, and it's making a return appearance again.
The
It
little
was
Asian
meaty with
grocery
enough
store
sweetness and the teriyaki sauce to really
near
complement
us
the dough.
sells
Get it
frozen
for
buns. They have
$7.95,
red
and
bean
don't be
paste, and I
surprised
think they
if
have
you
like
come back for
teriyaki buns
another.
like this
Another
that you can
brand new
steam.
option. Well, is it brand new though?
Say one of the things I want to do in the future though is I'm gonna do what like a lot of the Chinese videos that I've been watching do, and that's make dumplings.
Yes.
But like make a huge pot of them and then freeze most of them.
Yes. I know
So
how to
then
make
it's
soup
just
dumplings.
like
We
for
can
like
do
a
that.
couple months we just have like pork or chicken dumplings in the fridge that we can steam, pan fry, whatever.
Yeah.
Probably do the same thing with bao buns.
this feels an awful lot like the old
Buns
pudding
keep
that
pretty
you
well.
would get in
Buns
the
and dumplings.
Ireland booth.
I was gonna say, they
You
probably
remember
freeze
it,
pretty
like,
decently,
years
and
ago.
they'd be good
This
for
is
a
the
microwave.
freshly baked chocolate pudding cake at Flavors of America. It's $5.
Cut it
Now,
open.
This
looks
was
What's
my
inside?
favorite dish from this booth.
It's funny because the
slathered in a
texture makes it look like
bourbon
meat with just
sauce,
a
and
bunch
it
of
is
gravy
very
on it.
much slathered.
Kinda does.
Now, back when we had a similar
There's been a
dish at the
severe lack of
Ireland booth,
mousse
it of course had
compared
an
to the
Irish
pictures that we
cream
saw
sort of
before.
sauce going on.
Yeah.
The cake was super moist, very gooey.
Where's
and
the
the
mousse
chocolate was very light
propaganda?
and airy.
Oh,
The Flavors
wow,
of
the
America booth
texture.
got a menu overhaul this year. It's all hot dogs except for this
Oh!
pudding, and we
Hot
rated somewhere in the
dogs.
middle of an overall festival booth ranking. It definitely delivers what you'd expect.
There's
though a little
nobody
bit
there.
longer
That
than
is
the
so
previous
funny,
festival
considering all the
offerings
last ones they showed was
the
so
vanilla
packed.
cheesecake and Italy
Yeah.
was
Because they're like,
topped
it's all
with
hot dogs.
cream
Fuck
and
that
fresh
shit.
Strawberry sauce. It sounds very simple, but it was delicious. We were so
That is
surprised by how
the
fantastic
smallest
this
piece of
dessert was.
cheesecake
It's
I have.
very
I could
creamy
eat that
and
in
it melts
crustless
in your mouth.
cheesecake.
Italy doesn't always make our list, so it's
Boo.
always a fun year when it does. This tastes like fresh vanilla, not artificial vanilla, and the strawberry sauce was a really nice fresh
Good.
touch. We'll definitely be stopping at this booth again just for the cheesecake. It's $7.75.
Weimner? You want
If
a
you're looking
Weimner,
for an
Ginger?
incredible set of drinks to pick up
Weimner.
at the Food and Wine Festival, the
Mimosa
Mimosa
Flight.
Flight
A
at Shimmer
flight
and
of
Sips is one of
mimosas.
our choices.
That's the place I
We
went
couldn't
to
go more
for
than
my
5
sister's
minutes
place. We
without
had like
someone
brunch. They had
asking us where we
options
got
for
it,
a
so just
mimosa
be
flight.
prepared to
I didn't
make
get
some
them.
people
Instead, I got an
jealous around you.
alcoholic coffee
The flight
drink.
comes with a tropical mimosa. This is the Pog flavor.
Boozy
a
coffee
Baron
is really
mimosa,
good.
and a blood orange mimosa.
Pog?
This flight lets you
She
sample
said it was
a little
Pog
bit of everything,
flavored.
and you can get it all for $14.
I didn't know
Okay,
Pog
what
was
can
a
I
flavor
say?
now.
I love
I think it was supposed to be
my cheddar
pomegranate,
cheese
and
soup
she
in
just
Canada.
abbreviated it like she
You
normally does, but
and
nobody else
cheddar
sniffs it.
bacon soup is a must get. Yep, even if that means drinking hot cider
Wait.
in the blazing hot Florida sun.
Are you telling me that pretzel bread and I don't know if that's it's soup.
It's-
She says it's soup.
Yeah, it's a cheddar soup. It's a cheddar soup.
Is Canadian? You're telling me dipping a pretzel into a cheese-based thing is Canadian?
I
You see my issue?
no, yes, maybe.
What do you think my issue is?
It's not Canadian.
It's German.
Yes.
Anyway,
This is a staple dish at the Food and Wine Festival. It has been here as long as I've been here.
I
for
trust
good
I
reason.
recognize my
Typically, the
heritage,
soup is
Marin,
packed with
promise.
delicious flavors.
How
Dip your
dare.
pretzel bread and all that cheesy goodness, and you've got a serious winner on your hands. Make the soup all yours for $6.
I was just
And by
gonna
the
say,
way,
that
this
was
is
like
the
fishing to
only
see if he
time
would
of
just
the
say,
year
but
where
yeah,
you
that's
can get
German.
this soup outside of
Well, it
Le
is.
the table service restaurant. So this is a great way to just kind of try
Oh,
it
God,
out.
what
You
is
can
that
also try out
slab of
filet
meat?
mignon and see
I'm just
if
trying to
it
figure
makes
out how
sense
they
for you to shell out the
extrapolated upon
cash
it and
to go
made
eat
it
at the signature
Canadian, 'cause
Le
it's not
Cellier.
Canadian.
And
That's
believe it
not
or
a
not,
Canadian
that
thing to
filet is
do.
next on our list for
That's supposed to be filet
$9.75.
mignon?
Classic filet mignon again.
That thing's
this has been
dry as a
on the
donkey
menu
fart.
At the Canada booth, as long as I have been
Yeah.
covering the Canada booth. This is a Canadian filet mignon served with mushrooms.
So how is it
boursin,
Canadian?
Black truffle and sea salt mashed potatoes.
There's
and
mushrooms on the
boursin, black
side?
Truffle and sea
And
salt
fruit
with
orange
butter,
guava
and
is
it's as
Pog. It was
amazing as
popular in the
sounds. Once again, did not
Oh,
disappoint. The mashed
okay,
potatoes were
gotcha.
a great addition, herbaceous
I see,
and very
I see,
creamy,
see,
and the
see.
steak was wonderfully tender and buttery. The mushrooms add that
Oh, they
nice
did do
earthy
poutine
flavor,
earlier, and
the
it
truffle sauce
wasn't
was
in the
compact.
Canadian
We just
booth.
wish there would have been more of it. They never
Oh,
give you enough.
the
Grab
one that was
filet
like
for
beef and
$9.75.
gravy and
The brand
mushrooms
new
on
Paella
top.
Negra in Spain is made with squid ink rice and shrimp-based
Ooh.
scallops
They
and
inked me.
octopus
They
served
inked me
with
for their
garlic
meal.
aioli.
How could
Comes
they
with
do
2
this?
big shrimp and scallops, and it is so
Sorry, Faye, I need
fresh.
some ink
It's
to make
also
the
topped with a garlic
pasta.
aioli that we found to be a really nice
Blech.
addition. Overall,
There you go.
loved
Just
it.
like
$8.
slurry spits
And
into the
dish has
bowl.
elevated flavors,
Yep,
and
just
it's
like-
a fun twist on an original paella because of the garlic aioli and squid ink rice. We appreciate just how many pieces of seafood
Okay,
we got.
thank
2
you.
large shrimp, 2 scallops, plenty of squid. Usually you don't see something like that. And we've made it to the
Oh, there it
giant
is. I finally-
zebra dome. This
It is a
technically
moose
called
dome.
The
Damn it.
chocolate Amarula Moose Dome at Refreshment Outpost
Amarula
at
Moose
625.
Dome.
And it's basically a
Sounds like
giant
a place
zebra
where
dome.
you'd
If
go
you
to
know what
fight.
a zebra dome is, they got
Sorry, I just realized something.
4
4 months
What have
ago,
you
okay.
Uh-huh.
I was just making sure that this wasn't like
famous, of
fully
course, for
last
being
year's.
served at Boma over
No,
at
no,
the
no.
Animal Kingdom
Ooh,
Lodge.
wait a second.
But you can still only
There's
get
cake
them
in
in
there.
Animal Kingdom Lodge, so to have them come to
Yeah, they
Epcot
tend to
in
do
such
that a lot.
gigantic
They'll
form
do
is
like a
very,
little bit
very
of cake
cool and
on top of
historic.
a
You
crust and
really
then
can't go
surround
wrong
it
with
in
this
like a
one.
loose
There's a
ball.
reason zebra domes are so popular, and this is no exception. The mousse is fluffy and creamy without being overly sweet.
Ooh, wait, what
the
is that
chocolate on the
chicken?
inside is rich, and the
I don't
cookie
know,
on the
but it
bottom
looked
is buttery.
yummy.
It gives a nice crunch to the otherwise soft dessert. We think it could be shareable, but don't be surprised if you catch us eating the whole thing and maybe even
Don't be
another one.
surprised,
We are headed
my-
over to Belgium for the beer braised
Just like
beef
vacuum
for
cleaner.
$6.50. Now, this is a dish that's
Inhale
given
the
us
thing.
mixed results in the
Canadian drink
past,
services
but
joke?
2023,
Ah.
It made our best of the fest list, and we're
Oh.
thrilled to have it reappear here again. The beer braised
okay.
beef is served with smoked Gouda mashed potatoes.
Beer
in the past,
braised
it has sometimes
beef
been overly
for the
salty
Belgium
or featured
portion.
overdone meat. This year, it was
Okay, I
fantastic
suppose.
once again. The beef was tender. The
It
mashed
looks
potatoes
yummy.
were creamy.
It does look
and
good.
Very, very savory. Overall, the dish was
It's a little
super
hard, though,
enjoyable.
sometimes
10
in
out of
most
10,
places to
would
always
get
get that
again.
tender
Get the
beef from
braised
braising
for
it.
$6.50. Now, let's
It's
head
supposed
over
to be easy, but I have been
Australia.
some
We're
places
gonna
where they
the
have
roasted
flubbed
lamb
it, and I
chop,
have to,
which,
like,
again,
gnaw
this
my
has
way
been
through the
here
beef.
for a very, very long time. Not
Yeah.
as long as
Oh,
I've
this is
been here.
Florida
I remember when
paleo.
it was new, but it's been here for quite a while. The mint pesto
The
and
lamb
crushed
chop?
salt and vinegar potato chip.
Hello.
I love that they do the
Oh my god,
crushed
it's
salt and
Dave!
vinegar.
It's Dave!
It's Dave!
Welcome in, Dave. How was your stream?
Hello.
What is God, why do I have the hiccups? What is
Exogate.
Exogate Initiative? Bone?
Bone. Bone.
Dog. Doge.
Dog with bone. Doge.
I hope you had a good
Doji?
stream. Welcome in, Raiders. We're currently hanging out. We're going over some amusement park foods for their new season. Because I like doing foods on Tuesday. Giraffe.
Giraffe.
I went to Florida Disney in the mid-late 90s. Damn! Who's this fucking nerd? Who's this fucking nerd?
Look at this,
Evil Genius
look
like
at-
game? Oh, I played Evil
look at
Genius
this
recently.
nerd.
Look at this nerd.
this
I didn't realize she was still
goober.
going. Jesus.
Look at this absolute. I reminded him it's getting close to dinner time.
Is it food time? Is it food time? Is it time for the purple and the green ladies to run off and make food?
I think it might be time to run off and make food. Because
It might
I'm
be
getting-
time to go make food.
I only had I couldn't finish my breakfast this morning because my tummy hurt too much because everything was all sore and stuff because of medical reasons and I need to go eat a real meal so I don't die.
Go eat your real meal.
Okay,
You have to
thank
sustain that
you.
9 feet.
It's 9 feet and 1,000 pounds, and there's a lot of weight. You know what? That'll be revealed in a lore video. You'll see.
Go get him, champ. Good time to sign up. But welcome in, readers. Those of you both from Dave's and Sai's stream who don't know me, my name is Mara. I'm Bringley the Dark Carnival, and you should check out both of my wives.
No!
Anyway.
God damn it! You can't keep
Oh, that one didn't work. Do it
doing
again.
this.
There
Do
we
it
go.
again.
They're both close to getting YouTube partner, and everybody needs extra income these days. So make YouTube pay them.
Yes, please make YouTube pay this. But with that, Melanie, thank you for having me. I'm gonna go have food.
Go have a good night.
Bye-bye.
But welcome in, Raiders. We're going to hang out. We're going to finish this video. And then we have another one, actually, for Shanghai, China. Why did I say it like that? Disney Shanghai. Disney Shanghai. But give me just a second. I'll clear myself out of there. And then we can get back to this video.
It really just makes the whole dish
With the
come
person that
together.
doesn't sound
Our
vaguely like
reporter who
Faye.
tried this dish doesn't even particularly like lamb, but they loved this one.
Oh,
The
I was
mint
right.
is
It was the
pretty
lamb chop.
pronounced, so if you're not used to that sort of flavor,
But guys,
it
if you
can
need
be
to
a
do any
little
post-stream
off-putting,
stuff,
but
I
it's
totally understand. Go get your shit done. But a lurk is always appreciated. We are making the slow crawl towards partners, so every little bit does help. If you can't stay and engage or talk about the food, a lurk is always appreciated. But I hope you have a good day and go eat something delicious. Because I am
rather
hungry
popular
too.
flavor to combine with lamb, especially. So if you want to try this one, you might find a new favorite.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
$8.75.
Wait, how far in are we? We're
Now
only
we made it
halfway
down
through.
to our superlatives section. We're going to talk about
Oh,
the
no.
controversial best of the fest. These
Wait.
next eats are controversial choices. Some of our team loves them, others detest
Are these going to be
them.
new things,
Where
or are
will
these
you
going to be
stand? You'll
ones
have
that
to
we've
read our
already
notes
seen?
and decide whether they're worth a buy for yourself. If you
Australia is
do
famous
taste
for
them,
lamb, I
be sure to
think?
come back
Really?
and post and drop us a
Didn't know
comment
that.
with your thoughts. The griddled cheese at Greece is $5. I
Griddled
love this
cheese?
dish. I always have, but there are people on our team who don't really like it. This has pistachios and honey on top of the griddled cheese. It's made our
What the
best
fuck
of the
is a
fest list in
griddled
the past.
cheese?
The one time we tried it, we found it had a great mix of savory and sweet
Hello?
flavors. Creamy cheese, sweet honey, salty pistachios. Nice combo.
Oh.
But 2022 changed things because a different reporter tried
Honey,
the dish and was
pistachios,
not impressed.
and I guess a
To them,
sweet
the
cheese?
flavor was strangely pungent and the honey didn't mix well, though the pistachios and cheese textures were nice. Now, this year, our reporter found the cheese to be quite rich, plus they liked how the honey paired with it and thought the pistachios added a great crunch and nutty flavor that helped to bring out the cheese flavor even more.
Okay,
So
that
where
makes
will you
sense.
stand on this one?
It's not, I don't
Give
think
it a
it's
try and let us
fried
know. Get it for
necessarily, but I think it
$5.
is like
And then, of
seared
course, the pickle
to some degree.
milkshake at Brewing for $6.
Yo,
You
pickle
know we couldn't make
milkshake.
this list without at least mentioning the pickle milkshake is back at the festival. This is
Gimme.
a non-alcoholic treat. It costs $6. And
Oh, God, that is a tiny
what
jar.
You think it is. One of our reporters who tried this said it was extremely dill heavy, very tangy and creamy. Had a smooth texture without any chunks, which we
Ooh.
think is a good thing.
Yeah, pickles.
But they noted that as someone who loves pickles, the shake was more of a dill milkshake to them. On another visit, a separate
Okay, that
reporter
makes
tried
sense.
the shake and said that in their opinion, the shake tasted like you were drinking from a pickle jar, but with the consistency of
I
ice
say that
cream.
as
They
before the
described it as
previous
better
commercial
than you
break,
think,
I had actually
and
run
explained
off
that
to
it
go
tasted
sip on a
salty
thing of
and
pickle
sour
juice that I
and
have in the
briny.
fridge left
So
over
yeah,
from
it's a
somebody that
pickled
pickled some
shake.
stuff the other
Will
day.
you love it? Will you hate it? Will you get
Hell
a batch
yeah.
that has a stronger
Hell
dill
yeah.
flavor or a stronger pickle flavor? You'll have to taste it to find
Oh,
out.
those are the
If you are
wings.
brave enough to taste it, be sure to drop us a comment with your thoughts
Wait.
because we'd love to know how you feel about this one. You can get it
I
at
swear
Brewing
we've seen
for
those wings
$6.
at some point.
Now, our most surprising item at the festival this year is the lemon poppy seed cake at Earth Eats.
Oh, you can't
We
go
were
wrong with lemon
seriously
poppy
shocked
seed.
by
Lemon
how much
poppy
we
seed's the
liked
fucking
this.
best.
It was light and airy with the perfect amount of lemon icing on
There's a
top.
reason people
Wasn't
have their
too sweet,
martinis
didn't
dirty.
weigh the
Hell yeah,
cake
there is.
down. It was a great balance between keeping the cake moist without being overpowering.
Earth Eats.
The lemon wasn't
Okay.
too strong either, which you can sometimes find with lemon-heavy desserts. We definitely recommend
no,
this
I
as a
like a
nice
lemon-heavy
sweet
lemon
treat
dessert.
after scarfing down some of that braised beef. Now, how about our best plant-based dishes of the fest? We're going to
Oh?
start with the Impossible Montreal-style burger slider at Flavors from Fire for $6. A new dish over at Flavors from Fire, the Impossible
Is that
Montreal-style
tomato jam?
burger slider is served with cheddar cheese and tomato jam on
I was
a
right.
sesame seed bun.
Nice.
We literally did a happy dance when we tried
I was
this.
gonna say, it's
the
just
burger was
like
tender
a
and
regular.
not rubbery, which you can sometimes find with plant-based burgers. The combo of the tomato jam with the salty meat and that plant-based
I was gonna
cheese
say, I
was a
love
nice
seeing
addition. Gave the
burger places put like different kinds of jams, anything from like bacon jam, tomato jam,
Next on our list
jalapeno
of
jam.
plant-based best of the fest is the moussaka at Greece. This is $5.50.
Oh,
Now,
this
was
explains why they
definitely a
didn't
hit for
talk
us.
about it
This is
earlier,
sort
'cause
of
I
like
saw
a
it on their
lasagna
table before.
casserole dish with eggplant, the impossible meat, and more. And we
Ooh.
really liked it. This was heavy and rich and felt like its very own mini meal. Might not be great on a super hot day because it is very, very filling and dense.
At
but
least
it's
not
hearty
chili
and
jam. Wait, what
comforting,
is
and the
chili
ingredients
jam?
blend together really
Chili
well.
jam?
Plus, we love the bechamel sauce on top, which was
Like-
sweet
like
and
chili
creamy.
peppers?
Might not slam
That
you
makes
with a ton
sense.
of flavor, but this
If
dish
it's like
does a
chili
great
peppers.
job of being that comforting little
But-
casserole you want to tuck into after a long day, and it'll fill you up. Get it for $5.50. Heading back to India
Wait, that
for
little thing
our
will fill
final
you up?
plant-based dish, the potato and pea samosas for $5.50.
Okay, that's why they
This
didn't
is
talk
served
about the
with coriander,
samosas.
lime
A spicy
cream, and
jam?
is a returning
Ooh, hi,
dish
Cupid
that has
Gabe, welcome
seen some
in.
Great improvements
I
this
love
year.
samosas,
In the
but I have
past,
a
we
problem
found
when
the
it comes
dish
to
be
samosas.
soggy and
2 is
very
not enough.
spicy.
I'm gonna
This
need
year
like
we're surprised
6.
by the spice, but the pastry dough was wonderfully crispy and
I
flaky,
need
while
like
the
6
inside was nice
samosas,
and
okay?
soft. We've got a winner. The coriander lime cream was also a nice touch since it added a sense of freshness to the dish. The peas on the inside added a lot of flavor, but they
3
were
at
on the
least?
mushy
Yeah,
side,
3
so
at
just be aware
least.
of that if you don't love mushy peas. Also, this was a touch salty.
What's
but we didn't
samosa?
mind that all too much.
Samosa.
If you're looking
It's
for a
these.
flavorful
They're
and
basically
fun
kind of
plant-based
usually
dish, give this
triangular
one a try.
pastries
Now,
filled
how
with
about
different
the
things.
best of
In
the
this case,
fest
it was
for
potatoes and
kids?
peas.
Looking for a few dishes that your little ones are gonna love? Here are a few we think.
But
they're
yeah,
gonna love
usually
to
it's
try.
potato. It could be like
Apple
chicken
strudel
and
with vanilla
potatoes,
sauce at
or just
Germany.
like
This is
mushed peas and chicken.
$4.50. And
They're
this has
usually
been a
really good.
favorite
You
of
can find
ours
them actually in
for
the freezer
years.
section.
Do not disappoint
If you've
this
never
year
had 'em
either.
before.
The flavors are simple enough that picky eaters won't be deterred, and when mixed with the vanilla sauce, it makes for an extra delicious experience. This year, we felt like it really
Wait,
captured
what?
that apple pie flavor, and the pastry was really flaky. That all paired with the vanilla sauce well, and that sauce was incredible, by the way. So if you have
Okay.
a little one that enjoys apple pie, vanilla
You
sauce,
say
and
it seems like
pastries,
a
this is an easy choice.
reconstructed
Also note that
apple
our
pie.
reporter fully recommended this
So
one
like a
for the main
calzone, but
best of the
different?
fest list. So in other words, don't overlook this just because we put it in
Kind
the
of.
kiddo category.
They're usually small.
Adults,
Like
you're
the
gonna
shape
love
that you
this
saw
too.
there
Get
is
it for
typically how they
$4.50.
appear.
Another easy pick for
But
little
they're
ones
usually
is the
fried.
Belgian
They're
waffle
usually
with
deep
berry
fried.
compote and whipped cream. Seriously, a waffle
Not
and
baked
berries,
like,
what's not to love. This is
like
at
a
the Belgian
calzone is.
booth. Of course, it's $5. And the berry compote really carried the team in this one this year. The strawberries
compote always
were
does.
divine. We felt like they were actually some of the freshest
That is a
berries we had
big
at the festival
strawberry.
this year. The waffle was a little plain, but that can actually be a bonus for the kiddos. Overall, for $5, we think it's a snack.
Usually
little
with
ones are gonna
potato,
gobble
meat, or
up with
veggies,
these,
yes.
And there's a chocolate version if they're not big on the berry. And kids are
They're like an Indian
definitely
latke or
gonna love the
empanada? Yes,
frozen
pretty much.
s'mores
That's
at
like
festival
almost
favorites
here.
for $4.75.
Every culture has its like own version of meat in pocket. So like empanada and latkes are good examples of a couple of other ones. There's of course like the Jamaican meat pockets, samosas in India. What are some other ones? is. Technically, I think a fucking not filet mignon, why was I going to say that? A beef Wellington is kind of, sort of. a meat in a pocket situation if you're not a coward. You could pick that shit up and just eat it. But there's tons of those. Every culture you will find has some sort of shove meat into bread pocket. And it's always good.
This is a chocolate
always
milkshake
good.
with marshmallow syrup, topped with mini marshmallows and a graham
Wait,
cracker.
marshmallow
Sweet
syrup?
and creamy and reminds us of sitting by the campfire.
What is
except in
marshmallow
frozen form.
syrup?
And finally, it's time
More
to
like a
crown
pierogi?
the
Yeah,
best
pierogi's
of
another
the
version.
best
Ravioli's
in
another
terms
version.
of our best booth of the fest. We got a few
Handheld
runners-up
meat
and
pies.
of course the winner. First runner-up is Bramblewood
Of course, like the
Bites.
bao buns
This
and
new
stuff
booth
are another
really
version of
impressed
that.
us. We enjoyed everything we had here. The grilled cider brine pork
Bramblewood
tenderloin
Bites.
is so juicy, and the char from the grill gives it a nice textural thing that works
Oh,
beautifully.
wow.
The grilled bison tasted like fall, and those cast iron
Bison?
roasted Brussels sprouts will be dancing around in our dreams for a while. We also really enjoyed the spiced
good.
apple
Nothing's quite as
old-fashioned
wonderful
inspired
as a side
cocktail
as
with Boyd
Brussels
and Blair rum.
sprouts.
Typically, old-fashioned cocktails are made with bourbon or whiskey, so this
Also,
was
hold on a second. I need to
unique
do
take on
something.
a classic drink. We liked the rum because it made the drink a bit sweeter, although we couldn't really taste it. Instead, it just brought out the sweet apple flavor. Another runner-up is the Fry Basket. Not all the items at the Fry Basket are necessarily exceptional standout dishes, but we do feel like the booth as a whole is one of those you must visit, even if it's just to get one or two items.
Fry
the
Basket?
Adobo Yucca fries are by far our favorite here, and
Wait, those
well
don't look
worth
like
your
yucca
time.
fries.
But
Those
we
look like
can't
sweet
deny
potato
it, the Fry
fries.
Flight is iconic. Comes with sea salt and malt vinegar fries, barbecue bacon fries with smoked aioli, and sweet potato
I
casserole
love
fries
fucking-
with candied pecans.
Oh, wait, I
toasted
brain farted.
marshmallow
What did you
cream,
say?
and
Not
maple
aioli.
bourbon glaze. Note that you
Sea
can
salt.
also
Malt
order the
vinegar. I
individual
love malt
flavors
vinegar.
here by request. The sweet potato casserole fries were our favorite fries in the flight, and they really captured
Sweet
the flavors
potato
of sweet
casserole
potato pie
fries?
in the best way possible. Think of them like bite-sized sweet potato casseroles, complete with marshmallow fluff
okay.
and everything. The salt and vinegar
Jesus.
fries were not our favorite here. They were just kind of boring, but probably a safe choice for those who don't want anything too adventurous. Then there were the barbecue bacon fries, which tasted
Nah,
like
don't be a
Lay's barbecue
coward.
chips
Don't be a
in great
coward.
way.
It's the
They had a
Food and
nice
Wine
smoky
Festival. It's
chipotle
time to
flavor
be
going
adventurous.
on,
It's
which
time to try
elevated
new
them
things.
beyond your basic barbecue taste.
Without
All in
having to
all,
throw away
each
too much
individual
food.
item at the booth might not blow you away on its own, save for those yucca fries, but it's the kind of booth you just gotta go
Hi,
to
Uncle Beaker.
because
Welcome
it's
in.
a booth for
Thank you for
friends,
following.
and several of them are quite
Yeah, we're
fancy.
covering
And
the,
we've made it
we're
to
looking over
two
the,
booths that
Disney's current
always
Food and
are
Wine
in
Festival
our
foods.
Best of the Fest runners-up and winners. You never know. if
just
France
because it came from
or
the Fry
Mexico
Basket.
is going to
That-
take
that particular
the crown.
section is, like,
This
all
year,
fried
our
foods and
first
stuff that's,
runner-up
like,
is
basically
France.
French fries.
The France booth is always a hit. That's why it always deserves to be a runner-up for best booth of the festival, or the actual best.
Oh,
booth of
God,
the
no,
festival.
not the
new
escargot
dishes were
croissant.
excellent, and you can't go wrong with that beef bourguignon. We really loved this booth. All the items were so cohesive together. We would get it all
Ooh,
again.
wait, they had
the escargot was our favorite food
creme
item,
brulee?
the frozen Cosmo being our top drink, but it was all really great. And the winner is Mexico. We love
Let's
this
go!
booth. We found every item on
Mexico's
the list to
food
be the
and,
best
like,
and
drinks are
fest-worthy,
always
which
good at
can only
Epcot.
mean one thing. It's our best booth of the fest this year.
I don't make
We
the
will
rules. They're just
100% be
always
returning to
good.
the
Their drinks
Mexico
are
booth multiple
fantastic.
times throughout the festival because the food is
Chili
just that
foods,
good.
chili
Food at
fried
the
are good.
Mexico booth
Chili
is always
fried.
good, but this year it
Chili's
was
fried are good.
We
Wait,
love the tostada de camarones. It was fresh and full of flavor. The flauta de
why so much
barbacoa
fried
was
food?
rich
Yeah,
without being
there's
heavy,
some fried.
and
There's a
that
lot of fried food here and there,
pan de
mainly
elote
because
surprised us.
Americans
Each
like
was
fried
an
food.
explosion of flavors that we weren't
But a lot of
expecting,
cultures
all
have
paired
like
so
fried
well
foods
together.
in their stuff because
All right, you want a few festival
honestly,
tips
frying
and
things in
takes
fat
from
has
us
been
for
around
this
since
year?
basically the dawn of
Avoid
humanity.
visiting the festival on the weekends,
As soon as they find out
especially
that
those
fat
holiday
turns
weekends
into
coming up.
liquid.
Weekdays will see much shorter lines for food booths. This year, opening day was not as chaotic as in years past, and the past few weeks have been a bit quieter in the park. So if you're visiting soon, you may have a
because
break
nobody
from
can
those
afford
big
to go to the
crowds.
parks.
Pack your tray, like your cafeteria tray, so you don't have to worry about juggling all those little paper food boats and drinks as you find somewhere, hopefully not the top of a trash can, to set down your food and eat. Finding a table is less of a
that's what
hassle
she's
than
saying. Take your
previous
tray.
years, but there are still a few
All right.
areas like the front of World Showcase where you might have trouble finding a
Tips,
table. Also, have
scavenger
your
hunt,
plan
snacks.
of attack
Okay,
ready.
okay, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for this video. Let's go see the Shanghai one. I want to see what Shanghai Disneyland is like. So this is Dancing Bacon. Dancing Bacon's one of the channels that we watch pretty frequently on Tuesdays here. They're really straightforward. They have their own subtitles. They don't do talking like this last video does. They kind of just do the experience and let you see the food and everything. So I usually like them a lot better than those Disney Guide channels. The Disney Guide channels are very few and far between. Oh, wow. The screen in the wreath. Okay. Oh. Oh, it was jumping between Frozen characters. Beauty and the Beast fake ice statue. I feel like the entry would eat up most of the travel funds. It can, because I think right now Disney's entry is like nearly $200 for a day. Oh, wow. Are those donuts? Smoked pork crepe. Wow. Also, that crepe pan seems really high. The food ain't cheap either. The food's like is $6 per each. Between $6 and $8 is pretty much everything. Yeah, it's usually pretty expensive. You're gonna spend a pretty penny going to any amusement park. That's why like you have to plan it out. You have to figure out the costs. That was $9. Jesus. Persimmon milkshake. Oh, I don't know who Linabelle is. Maybe that's a specific character to the bakery. There's the pork crepe. That actually looks pretty good. It actually looks pretty good. That's a good looking crepe. When was the last time I had a crepe? What the hell, Ordained? Why are you flipping me off? Oh, gimme. It's gimme. Okay, I thought there was a middle finger because the fingers in the back are like apart. It doesn't quite look like a pretzel, but I mean, I guess that makes sense. That's a very cute donut. That is a perfect donut. That donut came out with like the perfect shape. Oh, It seems a little old. Like it seems like it was probably sitting in there a while. Aww. I pack lunch when I go to amusement parks, like rolled up meatball sandwiches, like mini yogurt spoon. I'm a foodie. Cubic, I'm very much a foodie, so if I go to a park, I'm going with the anticipation of spending money on food. Like I'm gonna end up paying out the bum for food. I'm not gonna buy fast. Wow, soup dumplings. Oh, and a little cake. Okay, I wonder what the Mickey Mouse face in that soup is made out of. Interesting. What is, Ordained, what is that emote? Oh, brain freeze. Okay, I get it. That's a very specific emote, but that is a very cute emote. Vinegar sauce. Not soy sauce? Listen, you can't go wrong with dumplings, okay? Even a bad dumpling is still a dumpling. Minced pork dumpling? Okay. I cast Burn the House of Mouse? What? Actually, you know what? Go ahead. Do it. Oh, it's egg. Okay. Corn. Tofu skin. I really like tofu. Mainly because there's been more restaurants in my town that have started like serving tofu in like really delicious ways. I love it. I love it so much. Curry places, ramen places. Eden, welcome in. How was your stream? Did you have a good time? Did you get into any trouble? Did you burn anything down? Legion of the Eye says hi. Well, welcome in, Legionnaires. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Martin. I'm the Ringleader of the Dark Carnival. I usually play games that are dark, spooky, terrifying, or just whatever little inclinations my mind likes to get into. Today is Tuesday, which is usually a very chill day, and more often than not rotates around into food, obviously. So currently today we've been doing, aside from people talking mad shit on Twitter, not to me, more in general, we've been hanging out watching some food videos and making the poor mistake of making myself hungry. But I don't know if Heaton's still... Also, hi, Mari. But I don't know if Heaton's still here because Heaton usually does do like a raid and run. But thank you so much for the raid, Heaton, if you're still here. How are you doing, my sweet little bats? Oh, Okay, they finally got around to eating the Mickey Mouse. Now, is this mousse? It is mousse cake. God damn it. Everything's mousse. Everything's mousse at Disney. It's mousse all the way down. Okay. God, watching all of these videos, the 2 videos that we've seen today, though, makes me want to go get a cake. I want a cake. Damn it. Damn it. Oh, this isn't fair. Hi, Lambio. How are you doing? What isn't fair? We talking about food? Is it because of the food? Troubadour treats. This is Shanghai Disney, by the way. So you will see a lot of the signs in Mandarin and such. Now I want mousse and brownies. Oh my god, I want ice cream and brownies. Ooh. Oh, ice cream and brownies sounds so good. Chocolate dipped waffle cone. Donald Duck ice frost. How bad do you think these are gonna look? Do you think we're gonna get a situation of like the gumball ice cream treats? Is it bad? Oh wait, it actually looks pretty decent. I was gonna say, who remembers the days of getting these kinds of like popsicles and then just looking absolutely horrendous? Raspberry yogurt flavored popsicle. Okay. Ooh. I don't know what ride this is off the top of my head. Oh, it's a Zootopia ride. Hawthorne flavored. Okay. Popsicle. Aw, you did a little bitty thing. So this is gonna be a Hawthorne popsicle. What does Hawthorne taste like? Well, salty Hawthorne. Okay, that's interesting. Oh no. Oh no. Giant and mini popsicle combo. Okay. Is that real? It just looks like it's plastic. Jumbo's Cafe. What is it? Is it chocolate coated ice cream? Well, it's something coated. It looks like it's ice cream. That's why. It's because it is coated in chocolate. Oh my god. Vanilla marshmallow. Oh, it's marshmallow. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Grims! The Minnie's raspberry chocolate with Rice Krispie balls. Interesting. Grims, welcome in. How was your stream? Did you have a good time? Did you have fun playing Raft? Did you get eaten by the shark? I hope you had a good stream. Hope you had some fun. Did you enjoy Raft? Did you get into some trouble? Did you burn anything down? The shark done gone in my booty hole. Listen, it'll be fine. You'll find a nice place. You'll be able to build a big, nice, beautiful raft, and you'll have a great time. How far in are you? Or did you just start? I've only played Raft like once, but not long. But welcome in, guys. We're currently hanging out watching some Shanghai Disneyland food. Jesus. I don't like giant marshmallows. It was your first time? Oh boy. Oh god, the dude like recording his girlfriends. Oh. Wait, that's such a cute little sandwich. Wait, these are all so cute. Is that grilled cheese? Oh, it looks more like a meat sandwich of some kind. Beef and mushroom rag-out sandwich. That looks good. Chat, I need you to feed my food addiction. I need you to feed my food addiction. I want to go to a big, not a grilled cheese place. It's technically a mac and cheese place that has grilled cheeses on it. And it's so good. I want to go get it today. Tiger tail, pineapple char siu. Oh. Okay, that actually sounds really good. Okay. Oh wow, that fork looks awesome. I'm rebuilding Eel World? Not Eel World! I swear I've seen the same building somewhere. Probably at the other Disney parks. Yo, octopus and beef, some kind of soup? Beef brisket, pickled vegetables, and squid meal. A Bushu cup with hot chocolate, amazing. That is a look. He was making a face. Oh, reusable cup. A straw was needed. How the fuck did they make an egg look like that? How did you manage that? What did you do? Squid leg. Okay. Okay, there's the noodles. A mold? I'm guessing a mold? Yeah, it would have to be, right? Take it out, like carve up the white, and then put the poo back on it. I'm fine with pineapple juice though. I love pineapple juice. Well, no, it's actually kind of bound to it. I have several questions. One for the yolk, one for the egg whites? Maybe. Oh. Hawaiian pizza. Okay. A Hawaiian pizza meal. Listen, I am not surprised that they did one of like the alien pizza places because the aliens are at like Pizza Planet. I'm just surprised I've never seen it at Disney before. Wait, blueberries? They're probably just for aesthetic reasons, not actually like a real topping, quote unquote. Damn, cheesecake. Oh wow, it's so soft. Audio cut out for a second, that was weird. Eel pizza. Listen, grilled eel on pizza sounds like it would be pretty fucking good. Oh. Another ride I've never seen before. This is a cool ride. Captain's Kettle turkey leg. Elote. And a coffee cup. Another permanent coffee cup. Mickey cup holder. Amazing. I'm impressed with the cheesecake design. Making cheesecake design isn't super hard, mainly because you just freeze each piece. Cheesecake you can freeze and shape super easily. Oh, it's corn juice. Okay. Pork floss and rice crispy. Oh, okay. I guess those little red balls are like the little crispy bits. Yeah, corn juice. It's a pretty popular dessert drink in China. China, Japan, a lot of places have like sweet corn. And they use it to make desserts. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Corn can be made to have a very high sugar concentration. It's been bred to be that way, which is kind of what sweet corn is. And you can add a little bit of extra and you can turn it into a dessert. Corn soup is also a big thing. Corn juice and corn soup are usually kind of the same thing. Cans of warm corn soup? Yep. Frankly, I love corn soup. I love corn chowder. I love all kinds of chowder, but corn chowder has a special place in my heart. Ooh. Okay, it is a duck leg. I was like, that's really dark meat, so it's not chicken. Uncut bamboo shoots, pickled radish. Rice cracker with seaweed meat floss and honey mustard. Interesting. Mustard flavored dressing. I mean, there's whole grain mustard in there. That's actually more impressive than, say, like a lot of America mustards. I go to Disney, I could never eat this much food. I'm envious. Well, these people's whole thing is their food channel. Hi, Patchy. Yeah, they do nothing but food stuff and travel and everything. So I wouldn't doubt if they put like all of their income into each video. They do like what Mr. Beast does, where apparently he spends all of his money on the next video hoping to make it back and then just continues that same path. Oh, that looks so good. Because this thing kind of like steamed bun you would get from like Bao and stuff. Those corn chips are covered in something. Tron. Ooh. Eat his hand. Eat it! Oh. Wait, there's Tron bike roller coasters? The only bike-like roller coaster I've ever been on was the Horse Stampede at Coney Island. Oh, wow. Do they have these at the Disney Worlds here in the US? Because I haven't been to the US ones in so long. Am I missing things? I thought I was fairly up to date on what the US parks had. But I'm feeling like I'm behind. That is not just ketchup. I don't know what that sauce was, but it looked really good. That is not just plain ketchup. And I don't think that's probably a sour cream base one, but ooh. You think it's another omelet? It is. It's another omelet. Oh. Hell yeah. And tomatoes. Okay. Ooh, that cauliflower looks really good. They closed the dinosaur ride in Florida. Didn't they do that years ago? I could have swore they closed the dinosaur stuff in Florida years ago. Oh, wow. Black truffle Wagyu beef burger. Okay. All right, guys. We'll be back in a couple minutes. We got an ad break. I missed the full countdown. I saw it when it started at 5 minutes, but I was not keeping my eye on it until it disappeared. But we'll be back in a couple minutes. I need to run to the bathroom. And I will leave y'all with the music and iPad time. Have fun. Also, hold on. I need to shout out Patchy. Yeah. There we go. Go check out Patchy. She's funny and they're really cool and have a really cool design. Have fun. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I wanted to see if Coco needed to go outside, but she more just wants to hang out with me. Fuck you, words in stream. I had that twice. What happened? What happened? What did you do? What did you burn down? Oops. 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 Oops to daisies. Whoops to daisies. Is this Iced Earth? Oh, as in the song? No, 10,000 Fists by Disturbed. Or was it the song or was it something else? Were you asking something else? I have a very stinky dog. Stop licking me! Stop licking me! You dingus. Scritch, scritch, scritch. Scritch, scritch, scritch. So there's got to be some words that start with a letter before W. No, that won't work. A lot of I's. Mini. Somebody do mini? Yay. Yippee! All right. Cast Firestorm inside the carnival tent? No, the fuck you don't. Iron guessed dibs twice, but after already guessing something else correctly, so they were locked out for making the guess on dibs. Ah, got it. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. Let's put these away. We can get back to finishing this video. French fries. What's in the burger? Potato. Ooh. Oh, crispy onions? Bacon could be a little better. Arugula. That's a pretty spiffy burger. The crunch of the arugula. Damn it. Damn it, it's giving me cravings. More Marvel or more DC? More Marvel. More Marvel, I think. Oh. Wait. That's cool. That was the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, but it wasn't like the original Pirates of the Caribbean. Dragon fruit, pineapple, yogurt jelly. I'm gonna guess those are pineapple jellies. And that looks like red bean. Oh no, okay, it's glutinous rice. Gotcha. Now I crave mustard chips and burgers. There's a burger place, Frozone. There's a burger place near me that they actually, one of their burgers, they have a special name for it, but it gives away the name of the place, so I'm not going to say it. But the burgers that they serve, one of the options is to have it, instead of being just all ground beef, it's half ground beef, half bacon. They mince bacon, and you get a 50-50 burger patty out of it. And you can get multiple patties, but that place, that sounded kind of tempting. I couldn't tell you the last time I had those. Sounds very tempting. Very, very tempting. But eating only convenience store foods. Do we want to do another one of theirs, or do we want to do one of the relaxing ones, like relaxing vacation videos that I usually find? I thought that was Hassan Abi for a second, and I was so confused. I was like, why are you here? I took America's worst rated cruise. Ooh. I don't know. I can feel my arteries clogging. Listen, I couldn't tell you the last time I had that burger because there's a lot of other restaurants in the same, because it's in a food hall. So there's a lot of other restaurants that are like all around it that tempt me far more than getting a burger. So, you know, who tried to sell crab pizza as a meme, and man, I wish I could try it. How is it served? 3 days travel diary in the beating heart of Japan's Kansai region. Okay. No, we'll go with this short one, methinks? Question mark? Yeah, we'll do the individual booth really quick. Individual booth ramen! Steve Pizza, crab pizza. Okay, hold on. You have my curiosity. And that's the best way to win me over. Steve pizza, crab pizza. Or do you mean search it overall? Pizza Steve? Pizza Steve. Pizza Steve. I mean, there's Pizza Steve. I was gonna say, it's Uncle Grandpa in Google Images. Oh. Oh. Crab pizza. Images. Is it? Oh, good Lord. Those are hairy crabs. You can't eat that. It's Brazil? Oh my God. Rin, explain. How dare. How dare. Ooh, actually, close history of the Mirage was... Nah, we're not... We'll save Expedition Theme Park for another time. Why can't I eat those crabs? Those don't look like very good crabs. Welcome to your own individual booth. Oh, and you can pivot it. Interesting. It's like the famous Eteron, but with a more modern curtain. Electric curtain. Do not touch. Okay. Oh, they even give you hair ties. Wait, that's amazing. That's cool. See, this is what customer service is about. Because America's always like, well, we have a tip system because we have better service workers. Totally. Yeah. You believe us, right? Are they poison? Are the crabs poison? No. They just, it's not fun to have to dig through the hairy fibers of a crab. Wait, why do you hate QR code menus? This is fantastic. I love them. Because it's so much easier than just having flabby little menus lying around all over the place. I like it a lot more. And then, like, somebody doesn't have to repeatedly come check up on you and stuff, and it goes straight to their system. So there's no, like, needless work or needless mingling. Like, see, to these guys, they probably didn't even know that they were sitting there until they placed an order, and then they got right to work. Just don't feel right. I think it's much easier, because then you don't have menus you have to clean, or menus that fall apart and you have to replace. It's much simpler. Hi, Zyber. Welcome in. Welcome back from your lurk. We're upgrading the schedules to QR codes. You're getting QR codes and you're gonna fucking like it. This is... Oh, it's Calpis soda. Okay. Calpis. Beepus. Oh God, what was the soda? What was the Pepsi remake in Pippisi? That's what it was. It was Pippisi. Pippisi Cola. That was in the game we played yesterday from Chillizart. Yeah, self-serve water. Fantastic. It removes much of the needless work that comes from working service. Ooh. Okay, deluxe tonkatsu set. What makes it deluxe? Probably the sides. I think there's more meat and stuff back there and seaweed. Ooh. With extras, pretty please and thank you. Yogurt soda. 5-time chili, which is the max amount that's still free. Oh wait, you can get more chili, but then it's extra? Fucking mess me up. Fucking mess me up. I've only heard about Crystal Pepsi, but never seen it in person. That's because the Crystal Pepsi was from the 90s? 90s or early 2000s, and then it went out of business. They like discontinued it. And then people started talking about it again because they were like nostalgia posting. And then I think there's a rumor that it was coming back, but I don't think it ever did. Devilish Bun, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. But yeah, there's a lot of discontinued sodas and stuff out there. Much hotter though compared to Japan. Is this in China? Oh, it is in China. Okay, I didn't realize this was in China. Okay. Chats. I do this to myself every Tuesday. It was okay. I see. Even born or conscious enough to remember? True. It's even then, my family didn't drink sodas that often. Like, the only person in my family that drank sodas was my dad, who would have a, like, rum and Coke. Diet Coke, specifically. Otherwise, he would yell at us anytime we were anywhere near sodas. Yes, my dad is a hypocrite. Yes. Yes. Yes, Dad Go Round is a punk bitch. And not a punk bitch in the fun way. Hold on a quick second. I need to check something. Okay. Isn't it just Pepsi without coloring? Yes. That is pretty much what it is. It's without coloring and without any of the typical ingredients that gives it a color. According to some people, the flavor is different. I don't know. I've never had it. And anybody who has had it recently and still remembers what it tastes like, probably had as a 20-plus-year-old bottle flipping around that they're sipping from. I don't think I like the seaweed. Because when I went to a sushi place, and every roll I had that had like a large amount of seaweed around the outside tasted like way too much like metal to me, and I just didn't enjoy it. I swallowed it, didn't enjoy it. Can't believe they made our Maoan edition Beppis clear. Well, it was better than its original color of blood red. Don't ask how I removed that color. Guarana sodas? Maybe? I don't know. I don't drink soda that often. Although I do think my favorite soda that's just out and about in the world is still, it's called like Monzarita Sol or something like that. It's apple soda. That'll happen when you stop causing accidents over the machines. Shut up. I'm not causing anything. I'm just supervising. You fell in, okay? Shut up. Okay? Try one time. I'm sure there's some out there. Guarana. Hold on a second. While he goes through this whole soup, and I feel like I don't know if he's gonna order another one. Usually this guy orders multiple of things. Okay, hold on. Guarana, Antarctica? I don't think I've seen this soda before, but I may be able to find it at my supermarket, but there's no telling. At least now I know what it looks like. Apparently it's available at Walmart. Walmart, Amazon. Huh. Crystal Pepsi would be about 30 now, I think. Yeah, it'd probably be something around there. Great for iron deficiency, the red soda you talk about. Big Red? Big Red has high iron? Is that what you're talking about? I'm confused. I don't understand. Tell me your secrets. And then little candies. Aww. Wait, what kind of candy is that? Is it just like a sugar candy? I'm in? Who knows? I don't. Winning giant snacks from claw machines. No. Train ride. All you can eat soba food challenge. Have we not seen that one? 2 months ago. Wait, did we missed that one? I'm upset. We missed one. We missed a dancing bacon video that isn't the convenience store ones because I don't like the convenience store ones. All you can eat style soba. Come and experience the Japanese culture. Oh, interesting. Wait, what were those on the floor? Were those like footrests? Ah, they get a little bit of soba here and there, but they just keep rotating. It's the weird equivalent of like those like soba places where they like come across like a little river, or they come down like bamboo shoots. The like flowing soba. I love his Street Fighter card. That's why the carnival shops at inconvenience stores. Listen, no, I like convenience stores, okay? I especially like Asian convenience stores typically, but I just find it a little boring when the video is them scampering their way through a convenience store and then going home and eating the food. I like it usually mixed in with things like travel videos and stuff. Ooh. Is this broth? Dipping sauce. Okay. Prepare a sauce before the timer countdown starts. Okay, so wasabi, ginger, green onions. Okay. Okay. So, huh. Oh. He starts the timer, he doesn't even grab a bowl. That's so funny. I'm feeling so excited. Oh god. I was gonna say, can he do multiple bowls at a time, or does he have to like finish the first bowl? I'd mock this challenge. Oh yeah, I think there's somebody behind him, like watching him. Because it sounds like there's somebody talking to him to tell him when he can grab the next bowl. So you have 40 minutes to just scarf down as many bowls as he wants. Noted a dine-in section at the carnival shops. We have tables. You say that like I don't set tables out for people. And you also say that like we don't have a lounge. Please tell me, you better not be forgetting about the lounge, Sunstar. You're singing there on Saturday. Hi, Valk. How are you doing, dear? Oh, string. I burned the tables. Ordain! There's the lounge? Yeah, there's the lounge. I ordered a new computer. Is it an upgrade? Is like, I wonder what's under that. I wonder what's under that cover. It is a little weird to me that it's like basically like one bite per bowl. Maybe it's not a challenge. I think you just have like 40 minutes to eat. Because they don't want you just sitting there forever eating away at the soba. So that makes a little more sense. Partly a decade old. Jesus, yeah, that's gonna be a serious upgrade for you, especially because like if it's over a decade old, what GPU did you have? Because even going from like the 2K, called mystery bowls, okay. It's just a larger amount. Just a larger amount of soba. Okay. But, weird. They don't put the bowl back on the conveyor, get refilled? No. They probably have people pick it up, but because he's doing the challenge, they're, like, counting it. They're counting the bowls. But, oh, what was I saying? Oh, going from, like, the 2000 generation gets too diluted, we can dump it? Ah, okay. But, from going from like the 2000 generation to the 3000 generation is such a massive leap, let alone going from like 2000 to 4000 and then soon to be 5000. Make it not so boring on the taste buds. That makes sense. It took less than a minute. I'm back in the game. Oh my god, the Tower of Bowls is stressing me out with how much it wobbles. Most conveyor restaurants you pay by the plate or bowl. Yeah, that's true. That is usually the case. But if this is like an all-you-can-eat challenge thing, then I'm guessing you pay like a flat cost and you just get to eat as much as you want within that time frame. Because that would make sense. That would make more sense. Goodness. I know, hold on. This, I don't know why, this just reminded me. Has anybody seen the videos of... Oh, crispy things. Just gonna put it in the sauce. Tempura bits. Okay. That's actually kind of cool. That's cool for the mystery bowls that you find like some mystery toppings in the mystery bowls. It's a 1060. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so sorry, Valk. What did you get? Please tell me you upgraded to like a 4070, 4080. Please tell me that's what you upgraded to. 5,000 already? The 4,000s don't seem worth the cost on release. They're putting out a new gen? Yeah, they're putting out a new gen. It's mainly because apparently they came up with another new architecture that's several times better. They're also releasing the 500 gen with larger RAM space. Ooh. So, like, I believe they're increasing the minimum, like, RAM amount in each GPU. Like, I think the lowest right now is 8 gigs, and I think they're changing it to 12 gigs. When you guys live, is there a restaurant that has self-service where you put things yourself on your plate and pay for the wait? I've seen people go to places like that. I don't think there's one near me. I've never been to one. I think there's a popular chain somewhere that does that, where they like give you like a golden pot and you have to go put stuff in it. But I've seen people make expensive as shit. Like they'll won't even fill the pot up. Like maybe like a quarter of the way is the pot full, and it'll be $40. That shit's insane. Asus Radeon RX 7700. Okay. That's not bad. That's definitely an upgrade. That's definitely an upgrade. God, I would knock those stacks over by accident. I would not be making them that tall while I was trying to get... There you go. So even them out a little bit. No, not where I can think of, Kinchi. Not where... there is nothing like that near me. Also, Devilish Bun. I'm sorry I missed your follow. Did I miss your follow? I don't remember if I said anything when it happened. I'm sorry. That was 12 minutes ago. Thank you so much for the follow. I feel bad. I feel bad that I may have missed that. God, the sounds of people talking just in the ears, they sound so strange. Oh, that's a glob of wasabi, sir. Okay. I'd be grabbing every mystery pot I could find that like comes across me just to see if there's like more topping options. Here there's a place I can take a stack with meat and everything and pay like... What is R $? It's not rubles, is it? I don't think it's rubles. What currency is that, Kinchi? Riaz? What is that? I don't recognize that currency name. Another oversized bowl. It's basically just 2 bites in a bowl, which I always think is funny. It'd be funny if at one point he opened it and like the bowl was just full to the brim. It's like €7. Oh, gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. That's why we were talking about the Brazilian pizza. Got it. Should have known. I know one other Brazilian and I pay him in USD. Rin, where's your fat stack and asset? Say every time I send money to Rin, he always just sends back a cat standing on a stack of money. And I don't know why, but that fucking emote makes me laugh every time. I send Rin money for services and then Brazil mentioned. You fucking dork. Rin, I need you to send me that cat emotes. Your cat sticker that you always post. $1 is around 6 reals now. Ah, that makes sense. That's about the same conversion for like Chinese yuan. They're about 7. About 7 yuan is 1 USD. The fat stacks, the cat sitting on the stacks of money. The little blue creature on top of the fat stack of money. The one that you always send me after I like pay you. Or whatever, you're like, I'll give you a loan, and you like post the fucking fat stacks cat. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think he sent it to me. Hold on a second. Ren, why is your emote you in a cage? Good lord. Okay, let me go get this picture real quick. And then I can show you all this shit that I put up with from Ren. Oh, good lord, why is this shaped this way? Here, let me pause that really quick. All right, chat. Here's a display image. There you go. This is what Ren sends whenever he's feeling baller. It's this one. I pay Ren in USD, and then he's like, I got the money bags. Don't forget the dog, too. I'm not going to show the dog, because I just had to, like, cut this out to do it. Yeah, big money. Listen, that's the fun of being paid in USD when you don't live in the US. It goes all that much further. I live in the US, which means it's next to nothing. I was gonna say, the number of friends I've talked to that live in like Southeast Asia, that have friends that are like full-time streamers, but their like CCV is like 20 or 30. And I'm just like, damn! Must be nice. I say that as if I'm not full-time and totally lazing it off. Why did I say that? Now I'm embarrassed. I'm technically full-time and I just fucking sit around and jerk off is what it feels like. Damn it. I want my new shit. I want my new shit so I can start making videos. Well, I could technically already start making videos. Why did I say that? I just can't show y'all the new shit. Maybe that's what I'm doing tomorrow. I'll start getting that script done tonight, and I could probably start doing some of the recording for tomorrow. Right, there's a few noodles in the bowl. It's soba, and they do a challenge thing, so it makes me think that it's almost entirely for the challenge, I guess. I don't know for sure. 10 US dollars is like 110 Swedish crowns. Wow. How much does a meal cost, though? Cubic, how much does a single meal cost? The Blessed Cardinal, new YouTube content? Yeah, new YouTube content, baby. We got shit coming. Big things happening. Big things happening. Listen, I'm gonna try to start doing stuff. At least I don't know what it's gonna be. It depends on after I get this first one out, how I start to streamline the process. The first video will probably launch the same day as the debut. As 2.0's full debut. We are probably going to have a debut come the new merch launch. Low poly time. So, you know. Like a standard McDonald's cheeseburger costs like 25 Swedish crowns. Oh, wow. That's actually cheaper here. That's actually cheaper there than it is here. Fucking hate it. Fucking hate it. 2 visible runaway noodles. Eat them! Finish them! Should I do that soba challenge when I go to Japan? It sounds like it'd be fun. Okay. Damn, sir. I can't believe you were such a sloppy eater. You had 2 runaways. Good lord.
We have 148. Wow, that's more than the average for guys.
114? 114.
This is like
Or did she read 148? Okay, 148. Jesus. Oh, and she still did 105. Amazing. That's impressive. Okay. Tokyo Disneyland, Disney Sea. We'll save that for another time because I think we'll do another amusement park. Like maybe next week. Maybe next week. But that is going to be it for today, guys. I have a script to write tonight. Your emotes are so cool. Well, thank you. I do call them the coolest and scariest emotes on Twitch. Give me just a second and I can actually show you something. Who hit me with shit? Hi, Ren. We do have some other emotes coming, you know, like maybe some updated versions of some current emotes. Looks a little like this, maybe. Maybe we have some others like, maybe some new ones. Maybe we need like a crime brulee emotes. You know? Maybe, what else do we have? Let me see. What other things do we have hiding here? What if I gave you my heart, chat? What if I gave you a heart? Would you take my heart? Would you take my heart? Now, there are a lot of previews too, guys. I'm going to post probably some more pictures. I need to give y'all some more previews of the new model in the Discord. But if you have a tier 2 or tier 3 subs, you do get previews in the Discord. So if you do want that, I do highly recommend joining the Discord. I'm also trying to work myself into doing more, what do you call it? Like movie nights and stuff. But my stuff the stuff I like to watch at random is very spontaneous and not always horror related. But I do want to watch more horror movies with you because I have so many saved. What is today? Today's Tuesday. Thursday night, we're going to be at Maki's. Chats, I'm going to make a promise to you. We will do a late night movie night this Saturday. We'll say 9 or 10 p.m. I think 10 p.m. will probably be the time. 10 p.m. CST. It'll be late for all the Euro folks. Going to bed. Good night, Ordain. But let me see who we can raid, you guys. Let me see. Open says me. I just realized I didn't have any page for Twitch except for my dashboard open. Day's doing Red Dead. Harvey's doing Balatro. We're probably going to raid Harvey. Kai's doing Mibble Ribble. Monster Hunter World. Ooh, we do have Monster Hunter Wilds coming up soon. Soon, TM. Okay. Do we bully Harvey more? I think we're going to bully Harvey more. It's Harvey. Do we reverse raid B her or do we do something else? I think we're going to do the reverse raid B. Let's do reverse raid B. Reverse raid B. And then we're actually going to do what she usually does, which is, I believe she does it a few times. So like, if y'all want to grab that, if you don't have my dumpest emote, feel free to use any other kind of dumpy-ish emote you have, or any emote that's like a butt facing forward. But other than that, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being awesome. I'm actually excited to try to give y'all more things. I'm very motivated. I've told y'all this is the year of positivity, and god damn it, I'm going to stick to it. So help me God, even if I have to beat Kono with a baseball bat. But until next time, thank you for being here. Thank you for being awesome. And thank you for enjoying the show. Good night.